Chapter 849. 10 minutes. There's no need to think about it. It must be Ning Yu's doing. Wan Quan said to Du Feng as he refined the medicinal ingredients. Don't worry about it for now. Go to the room in 5 minutes. That's the only thing we can do now. Du Feng said helplessly. Swoosh. At the same time, Lu Wei was sitting cross-legged on the ground in the room. The Dark Emperor was standing on its hind legs with its front paws on Lu Wei's back. On Lu Xuan's shoulder, Harry Ball was blinking its little eyes, looking very adorable. Senior Dan Xingzi, this. Can the Dark Emperor get rid of the soul-absorbing powder in Jiner's body? Lu Durong asked hesitantly with a worried look on his face when he saw the Dark Emperor's actions. 3 minutes ago, Lu Jin had become drowsy, and even her consciousness was starting to blur. Fortunately, the Dark Emperor intervened at the crucial moment. Otherwise, who knew what would have happened to Lu Wei? However, Lu Durong did not really believe in the Dark Emperor. From what he knew, how capable could a dog be? One must know that even Dan Xingzi said that he was not confident in getting the soul-absorbing powder out of Lu Wei's body. Although I don't know if the Dark Emperor can get rid of the soul-absorbing powder, I know that the Dark Emperor was introduced by Ning Yu. I believe in Ning Yu, Dan Xingzi said solemnly. Woof woof. As if it had heard Dan Xingzi's words, Furball barked a few times. Furball, stop playing around and help. The Dark Emperor's eyes suddenly opened, and he grabbed Furball with his paw. He said in a low voice, pour all your energy into my body now. I want to get the soul-absorbing powder out. Woof. Furball revealed a displeased look when he was grabbed by the Dark Emperor. He barked again before pouring the energy in his body into the Dark Emperor's body. Come out. Feeling the violent energy waves in his body, the Dark Emperor gritted his teeth and gathered all his energy into his front paw, slapping it fiercely at Lu Wei's back. Poochie! In the next moment, Lu Wei's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened, and she spat out a large mouthful of black blood. Buzz! Above the black blood, a black gas suddenly emerged. Quick, find something to put it in. Seeing this, the Dark Emperor shouted. Whoosh! Dan Xingzi didn't dare to be negligent. He hurriedly took out a jade bottle and carefully drew the black gas into it. Puff! Only when Dan Xingzi capped the bottle did the Dark Emperor let out a long sigh of relief. Fortunately, the room was sealed by Ning Yu using a secret technique, otherwise, Du Feng and Wan Quan would have definitely discovered some clues. Even so, Wan Quan, who was outside the room, felt a tightness in his chest, and he had the urge to spit out blood. What happened? Seeing Wan Quan's reaction, Du Feng hurriedly said, I'm fine. How many minutes have passed? Wan Quan forcefully swallowed the blood in his throat and asked in a deep voice. 8 minutes, 2 minutes left, Du Feng replied. Don't wait any longer. You should go to the room first. I have a feeling that the soul-absorbing powder left in Lu Wei's body has been forced out by someone else. Wan Quan waved his hand and gestured for Du Feng to enter the room to investigate. Understood. Du Feng gritted his teeth and leaped into the room. Swoosh. However, just as Du Feng arrived at the door of the room, Ning Yu blocked in front of him. Ning Yu's expression was devoid of joy or sorrow as he said indifferently, What are you going to do? Right now is the time to refine the revival pill. Leaving Wan Quan alone, aren't you a little too arrogant? Humph. What does it have to do with you whether I'm arrogant or not? Du Feng snorted coldly and said, Hurry up and scram if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Scram shouldn't be possible. If you want to enter the room, you have to defeat me. Swoosh. As his voice fell, Ning Yu's aura was released, soaring into the sky. Hiss. Feeling the terrifying aura exuding from Ning Yu, Du Feng could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Wait another 2 minutes. Du Feng was not afraid of Ning Yu. He was afraid that fighting here would affect Lu Wei. Their mission was to take away Lu Wei. To be precise, they wanted to take away Lu Wei who had yet to erupt. Once the extreme Yin body erupted, even if they brought her back, they would not be able to contain it and could only helplessly kill her. Therefore, Du Feng chose to endure for 2 minutes. Drip, drip. Time was ticking away. Although 2 minutes was not a long time, in Du Feng's heart, it was longer than 2 years. Swoosh. At the last moment, Du Feng instantly rushed out. His fist was covered in violent yuan energy as he fiercely punched at Ning Yu's head. Brat, I've long found you an eyesore. Now let me send you to hell. Chi. Du Feng was not only fast, but even the yuan energy on his fist made a hissing sound. In almost an instant, Du Feng arrived in front of Ning Yu. Solitaire. Ning Yu flicked his sleeve, and in an instant, the red demon sword appeared in his hand. An earth-shattering sword wave slashed out. Damn it! You don't play by the rules. Seeing the huge sword wave coming towards him, Du Feng hurriedly retreated. Du Feng did not have the guts to use his fist to meet such a terrifying sword wave head-on. What do you mean by playing by the rules? I didn't say that I had to exchange blows with you. You are just stupid. Ning Yu shrugged and slashed out several more sword waves. Whoosh! In midair, several sword waves appeared. Half of them slashed at Du Feng, while the other half slashed at Wan Quan, who was refining the revival pill. Dark Emperor, bring Lu Wei and the others to the pill cavern first. Remember, no matter what, ensure the safety of Lu Wei and the others. As Ning Yu fought with Du Feng and Wan Quan, he sent a soul transmission to the Dark Emperor. Understood. The Dark Emperor knew that the matter was urgent. He carried Lu Wei on his back and left through the secret passage in the room. Actually, the secret passage in this room was personally designed by Mu Feng. Mu Feng knew the importance of Lu Wei to Ning Yu. He directly dug the secret passage into the pill cavern. As long as one left through the secret passage, one could directly reach the pill cavern. The pill cavern was a mystical place. Without a token, even martial artists whose cultivation reached the supreme realm would find it hard to enter. Mu Feng handed the token to Dan Xingzi. He did not expect that this move would actually come in handy. Du Feng and Wan Quan did not know what happened in the room. At this time, the two of them were resisting the several sword waves in midair with all their strength. Boom! Boom! Du Feng and Wan Quan each blasted out several fistlights. Each fistlight met a sword wave. Both sides dissipated between heaven and earth at the same time. Humph! Ning Yu, we were originally planning on letting you live. Since you are seeking death, don't blame us. Du Feng said with a cold snort. Why are you talking nonsense with him? 10 minutes have passed. The soul-absorbing powder must have taken effect. Let's kill him first, then bring Lu Wei back to the ice domain, Wan Quan said impatiently. I'm very sorry. I might have to disappoint you. Ning Yu shrugged and said, I already knew that Wan Quan left something on Lu Wei's body. If nothing goes wrong, Lu Wei and the others have already reached a safe area. Impossible. Chapter 850. Chapter 850. The Trutich looked down on Ning Yu smirked as he looked at the fist aura approaching him. He dodged to the side. Rumble. Ning Yu had dodged the attack, but the room behind him had nowhere to hide. After the earth-shattering explosion, everything returned to normal. After the smoke had dissipated, Wan Quan stared at the empty ground with his mouth slightly agape. His expression was one of annoyance. In fact, the moment Ning Yu moved to the side, Wan Quan understood that what Ning Yu said was true. Lu Wei had long since moved to a safe place. Otherwise, Ning Yu wouldn't have dodged it. Instead, he would have blocked it with all his might. Ning Yu, I'll give you one last chance to live. Hand over Lu Wei and I'll let you live. Wan Quan took a deep breath and instantly calmed down. Du Feng, let's split up. I'll deal with Ning Yu while you go on a killing spree. Wan Quan's voice wasn't loud, but when it landed in Ning Yu's heart, it made Ning Yu's heart tremble. Du Feng and Wan Quan were both very powerful. If they were to start a massacre in Danwu College, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ningyu, give me the red demon sword. I have a way to stop Du Feng. Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, the Red Fiend suddenly leaped out of the Red Fiend's sword and charged at Du Feng with the Red Fiend's sword in hand. Courting death. A look of disdain appeared on Du Feng's face when he saw a red figure holding a red flying sword charging towards him. Du Feng even said to Wan Quan, "After we capture Ningyu, don't kill him yet. We have to interrogate Lu Wei." Oh no. However, Du Feng had obviously underestimated the strength of the Red Fiend. Although Hong Mo's cultivation wasn't very high, the red demon sword in his hand was a monarch rank flying sword. With a monarch rank flying sword and Du Feng's carelessness, Du Feng's arm was pierced by the red devil's sword. Whoosh! At the critical moment, it was fortunate that Du Feng moved his body slightly to the side. Otherwise, it was very likely that the red devil's sword would have cut off his arm. Even so, Du Feng's arm was cut open and blood flowed out. "You've completely infuriated me. I'm going to cut you into 8 pieces." A cold glint flashed across Du Feng's eyes as he spoke viciously. "Those who want to chop me into pieces are right. Who do you think you are?" The Red Fiend knew that he was inferior to Du Feng in terms of raw strength. Only by infuriating Du Feng and making him lose his rationality would he be able to last longer. The longer he persisted, the more chances Ningyu had to kill Wan Quan. "Let's see if you can still be so stubborn later." Du Feng stamped his feet on the ground and dashed forward. Boom! While Du Feng was fighting the Red Fiend, Ningyu was already fighting Wan Quan. Wan Quan and Du Feng were much stronger than Ling Ju of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Wan Quan was even more terrifying than Du Feng. All in all, only 1.5 Du Feng could fight Wan Quan. "I need to find a chance to use the ancient scroll." Ning Yu's eyes darted around as he fought Wan Quan carefully, trying to come up with a countermeasure. If Ning Yu had any trump cards, it would be the flower bud and the blue ancient scroll that he had obtained from Mu Tian. For some reason, the flower bud seemed to have entered a hibernation period. No matter how Ning Yu called out to it, it would not respond. As for the blue ancient scroll that he had obtained from Mu Tian, Ning Yu knew that although it was powerful, it would be extremely difficult to kill Wan Quan. Unless Wan Quan was at the center of the ancient scroll's explosion, he would only be injured. It would not be able to kill him. "Ningyu, how dare you get distracted while fighting me? You are the first martial artist below the manifestation realm to do so." Just as Ningyu was deep in thought, Wan Quan's fist tore through the air and arrived in front of Ningyu. It struck Ningyu's chest. Wan Quan's fist had initially targeted Ningyu's heart. However, Ningyu's sharp senses had reacted in time and he had bent his body slightly. Don't underestimate the fact that Ningyu had bent his body this time, which directly prevented him from being seriously injured. Ningyu spat out a mouthful of blood and hurriedly used a spell to stabilize himself. He said coldly, "Wan Quan, you are a genius from the ice domain. Do you dare to fight me head-on? You want to fight me head-on?" Wan Quan stopped moving and turned to look at Du Feng, who had the upper hand. He said in a low voice, "No problem. Let's fight. Do you think I'm afraid of you?" As he spoke, a cold expression appeared on Wan Quan's face. Ningyu keenly caught the cold expression on his face. "You want to fight me head-on? It's not that easy," Wan Quan thought to himself. "There's something fishy going on. However, this is a good opportunity for me." Ningyu took a deep breath and secretly hid the ancient scroll in his sleeve. At the same time, his soul power quietly entered the ancient scroll. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the next moment, Ningyu and Wan Quan rushed out together. Ningyu's right fist was in front and his body was behind. He was extremely fast. Wan Quan's left fist was in front and his body was behind. His speed was no slower than Ningyu's. Whoosh! For some reason, Ningyu and Wan Quan's actions made the Red Devils and Du Feng stop at the same time. Their eyes were fixed on Ningyu and Wan Quan, wanting to see who would emerge victorious in this exchange. Du Feng was naturally on Wan Quan's side. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and said with a faint smile, "Don't underestimate Wan Quan just because he's a half-step to manifestation realm martial artist. He once killed a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist with his bare hands. There are also many half-step to supremacy realm martial artists who died in Ning Yu's hands," the Red Devil said coldly as he held the Red Devil sword. "Hee, I might believe you if you say that Ning Yu used your royal grade flying sword to kill a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist. However, why do I feel like you're bragging when you say that Ning Yu killed a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist with his bare hands?" Du Feng said with a sinister smile. "We'll know if I'm bragging or not," the Red Devil said in a deep voice. Although the Red Devil seemed to think highly of Ning Yu, he was actually very nervous. Just as Du Feng said, even a half-step to supremacy realm martial artist might not be able to block Wan Quan's punch, let alone Ning Yu without the Red Devil sword. The Red Devil secretly made up his mind. As long as Ning Yu was injured, he would save Ning Yu even if he had to risk his life. "You don't have to be so worried." Du Feng shrugged when he saw the Red Devil's expression and said calmly, "Wan Quan won't kill Ning Yu." Then, Du Feng added another sentence. "At the very least, before we find Lu Wei, Ning Yu won't be." "What?" Before Du Feng could finish his sentence, his mouth was so wide that several eggs could be stuffed into it. His face was filled with disbelief. Du Feng's body was even trembling as he stood rooted to the ground. In the distance, a blue ancient scroll shot out from Ning Yu's sleeve. In the blink of an eye, it enlarged and wrapped Wan Quan inside. Swoosh! At the same time, Ning Yu's figure flashed and he rushed toward the Red Devil. "Red Devil, leave quickly. The power of the ancient scroll's explosion isn't something you and I can block." Ning Yu wouldn't leave the Red Devil alone. He used his soul power to control the explosion of the scroll and rushed toward the Red Devil. Rumble. Chapter 851. The scroll exploded. Ah! The power of the blue ancient scroll's explosion was extremely shocking. Wan Quan was at the center of the explosion and the result was obvious. After the scream, Wan Quan's body suddenly exploded, turning into fragments that scattered in all directions. "Hong Mo, get into the storage ring!" Ning Yu shouted with all his might at the critical moment. Swash! Hong Mo was not an indecisive person. He knew that he would die if he stayed. Therefore, he fused with the Red Demon's sword with all his might and flew into the storage ring. As for Ning Yu, he summoned his golden core and released terrifying essence qi into the surroundings. Ning Yu's intention was obvious. He wanted to use his golden core to withstand the power of the explosion. Idiot! Du Feng cursed silently when he saw Ning Yu's actions. He tore open the void and dove in. Du Feng had seen his fair share of ancient scrolls. It wasn't as if he hadn't seen something more powerful than this ancient scroll. However, there was a saying that the more one knew, the more afraid one would be. Although he was not at the center of the ancient scroll's explosion, Du Feng knew that he would not be able to withstand the power of the scroll's explosion. If he stayed, he would be severely injured even if he did not die. Only by tearing open the void and escaping would he have a chance of survival. However, not long after Du Feng dove into the void, he hurriedly flew out as though he encountered something terrifying. Most importantly, Du Feng opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. His aura dropped from the half-step manifestation realm to the yin-yang realm. Rumble! At the same time, the shockwave from the ancient scroll's explosion had already reached Du Feng. Du Feng did not dare to be careless when he saw the terrifying shockwave. He immediately flicked his wrist and a few Dharma treasures flew out from his sleeve. Crack! Unfortunately, these Dharma treasures were instantly crushed into pieces like children in front of a burly man when they encountered the shockwave of the scroll's explosion. Boom! Subsequently, the shockwave from the scroll's explosion landed on Du Feng's chest under his horrified gaze. On the other side, Ningyu naturally did not care if Du Feng would be killed, because he was in an equally dangerous situation. Plus, Qi. Although the Yuan Qi released by the Golden Core was very vigorous, it still did not gain the slightest advantage from the aftermath of the scroll explosion. Even his Golden Dan was shaking, as if it was about to be torn apart. Kacha. Suddenly, a slight crack appeared on the Golden Core. Kacha. Before long, more and more cracks appeared on the Golden Core. In the end, Ningyu had no choice but to withdraw his Golden Core back into his sea of consciousness, because if this continued, his Golden Core was destined to explode. Bang! Fortunately, the Golden Elixir had weakened the aftermath of the explosion of the scroll. Otherwise, if Ningyu chose to withdraw the Golden Elixir at this time, it would undoubtedly be courting death. But even so, Ningyu still suffered terrible consequences. Pu. After spitting out several mouthfuls of fresh blood, Ningyu's aura also fell from the half-step manifestation stage to the yin-yang stage. The explosion of the ancient scroll came too quickly, and it also left too quickly. 3 minutes later, when everything had disappeared, all the buildings and plants in the area had been swept away, leveled to the ground. Cough. Another 3 minutes later, a sudden coughing sound was heard in the area. Then, a skinny figure stood up slowly. The skinny figure was in tatters, his clothes were ragged and even his hair was very messy. The power of the ancient scroll is indeed powerful. The skinny man scanned his surroundings and mumbled, "Mu Tian alone has such a heaven-defying ancient scroll. It looks like I'll have to be extra careful when I meet other genius cultivators in the future. I might fail miserably at any time. Right, why don't I see Du Feng?" Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have thought of something and looked around again. After a while, Ningyu slowly withdrew his gaze and frowned. Wan Quan was at the center of the explosion, so it's understandable that he was killed. However, Du Feng was in the same situation as me. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have been killed. Boom! Before Ningyu finished speaking, a rumbling sound came from not far away. Then, a figure in an equally sorry state sprang out from the ground. Du Feng. Looking at the young martial artist in front of him, whose face could no longer be seen, Ningyu hesitated. "Ningyu, the mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow. Just you wait and see." With a cold shout, Du Feng took out a scroll from his bosom and tore it open. Buzz. As the scroll was torn apart, the space around Du Feng gradually became distorted. Bang! However, before Du Feng could enter the space, a black figure appeared around him and struck his chest. The huge force from his chest caused Du Feng to lose his balance and fall to the ground. Dark Emperor! Seeing the martial artist standing beside Du Feng, Ningyu's face lit up with joy. To be honest, Ningyu was helpless about Du Feng's escape just now. Now that the Dark Emperor appeared, his worries were completely dispelled. One had to know that Du Feng's background was definitely much deeper than Mu Tian's. Once Du Feng escaped, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Dark Emperor's timely appearance caused the worries in Ningyu's heart to disappear completely. In the next moment, Ningyu moved and stood in front of Du Feng. He said, "I'll give you a chance to live. Answer a few questions of mine honestly." "Tui." Du Feng spat and said coldly, "Kill me if you have the ability. Otherwise, I'll let you know why flowers are so red." Pa. The Dark Emperor hated people like Du Feng the most. He was clearly a prisoner, but he was still so arrogant. Against such people, the Dark Emperor would slap them a few times. "Don't think that I won't know if you don't answer." Ningyu waved his hand, indicating for the Dark Emperor to stop first. Because if he continued, Du Feng might be beaten to death. "You have a way to know?" Ha, as long as I don't want to say it, no one can get any information from me." Du Feng laughed wildly and said, "Right, I'll tell you very clearly right now. I've already sent the news that Lu Wei is here back to Domain Eyes. I believe it won't be long before people from Domain Ice will come. At that time, it will be the time of your death. F***ck. The Dark Emperor cursed and stepped forward to kick Du Feng's head, causing Du Feng to fall flat on his face. Ningyu, hand him over to me. I guarantee that I'll make him obedient, the Dark Emperor said in a low voice. Don't be anxious, Ningyu said indifferently. Du Feng, let me ask you one last question. What is Lu Wei's identity? What identity? Du Feng raised his brows and said, There's no harm in telling you. Lu Wei has an extreme Yin body, and this year is the outbreak period. Extreme Yin body. Hearing that, Ningyu could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Extreme Yin body was an extremely terrifying physique. Chapter 852. Snake Gall Grass. However, when the heavens opened a door for you, they would definitely close a window for you. When the extreme Yin physique erupted, although one's strength would increase greatly, the aftermath was unimaginable. It felt like the decay of the heavens, rapidly aging until death. Lu Wei actually has the extreme Yin physique, and it's going to erupt this year. Ningyu fell into deep thought. Because he had encountered the extreme Yin physique before, Ningyu had deliberately learned everything about it. Ningyu knew very well that in this year when the extreme Yin physique was about to erupt, any great stimulation could speed up the eruption of the extreme Yin physique. No wonder Wan Quanhui left the soul-assimilating powder on Lu Wei. Ningyu murmured, Looks like I can't let Lu Wei suffer any stimulation for the time being. Ningyu, I know how to suppress the extreme Yin physique. As long as you let me go, I will tell you the method. Du Feng felt that his chance had come when he saw Ningyu's expression. He activated the Great Deception technique. In the Ice Realm, who doesn't know that I, Du Feng, am a man of my words? Shut up, did I allow you to speak? The Dark Emperor raised his hand and slapped him again, knocking out several of Du Feng's teeth. You. Du Feng had a violent temper. He naturally couldn't tolerate being slapped again and again by the Dark Emperor. Don't go too far. At most, we'll both die together. Du Feng's body swelled as he spoke. You want to self-destruct? Ningyu frowned at Du Feng's actions. He then waved his hand. Kill him, there's no need to keep him alive. Understood. The Dark Emperor was waiting for Ningyu to say that. Du Feng had called him a dog time and time again. How could he tolerate it? Now that there was a rare opportunity, the Dark Emperor had to treat Du Feng well. Swish. Just as the Dark Emperor left with Du Feng, the Red Devil flew out from the storage ring and landed in Ningyu's Xinong. The Red Devil frowned and asked doubtfully, Why didn't you dig out more information from Du Feng's mouth? Du Feng is rather special. I only know that he's from the Ice Domain, but I don't know which power he's from. Letting out a sigh, Ningyu slowly said, I'm afraid that leaving Du Feng behind might cause unnecessary trouble. What kind of trouble could there be? We just need to use the array formation in the storage ring to trap Du Feng. Hong Mo was still a little confused. Let's not take over this matter for now. Let's first rescue Mu Feng and the others. After saying this, Ningyu's figure flickered as he flew towards Mu Feng's location. As a Sky Supreme in his previous life, Ningyu knew this better than anyone else. Heavenly Supremes had the ability to control genius martial artists from afar. Before figuring out if there were any heavenly sovereigns behind Du Feng, it's impossible for Ningyu to use the array in the storage ring to control Du Feng. Dealing with such a terrifying unknown genius, it's better to kill him to prevent future troubles. Russell. At the same time, in a certain hall Mu Feng, Ancestor Jiuemo, the Black Widow, and the Black and White heroes sat down and tried to break the array. Damn it! Why is this array so powerful? Ancestor Jiuemo couldn't help cursing. When Ningyu returns and sees us in this state, he will probably fly into a rage. It doesn't matter if we die. Right now, I'm only concerned if Lu Wei and the rest were taken away or killed by Mu Tian. Mu Feng solemnly said. It's hard to say. Mu Tian and Ning Yu are mortal enemies, the Black Widow said. In my opinion, Mu Tian won't kill or take away Lu Wei before he meets with Ning Yu. The black and white heroes said in unison, Mu Tian's target is Ning Yu. If I'm not wrong, he will definitely use Lu Wei as bait to lure Ning Yu into a trap and catch him like a turtle in a jar. Sigh, even if Ning Yu returns, he won't be a match for Mu Tian. Ancestor Jiao Mo sighed. Furthermore, there's an even more powerful genius martial artist beside Mu Tian. Swish! Swish! As Ancestor Jiao Mo spoke, two figures suddenly descended in front of the hall. The sudden appearance of these two figures caused Ancestor Jiao Mo's mouth to drop. He felt that this was unrealistic. Ning Yu. Ancestor Jiao Mo was stunned, but that didn't mean that everyone else was stunned. This was especially true for Mu Feng. When he saw the familiar figure at the entrance of the hall, he immediately shouted, "When did you return? Lu Wei is in the forbidden area. Hurry up and go. It'll be too late if you wait any longer." "It's fine. I just came from Lu Wei's place." Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating that Mu Feng didn't need to be anxious. In fact, Ning Yu was very gratified that Mu Feng was still thinking about Lu Wei at this time. Without any hesitation, Ning Yu stomped on the ground and directly rushed to a flag in the corner. "Be careful. Is the power of this array very great?" Mu Feng hurriedly warned when he saw Ning Yu's actions. However, Mu Feng's warning came to an abrupt halt halfway through. Ning Yu flew back and forth in the main hall and easily uprooted the 4 flags in a few seconds. At this moment, the array that had trapped Mu Feng and the others for a long time was finally broken. Gulp! Mu Feng and the others used their perception to probe for a while. Then, they all swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked at Ning Yu as if they were looking at a monster. "Isn't this a little too damn terrifying? You have to know that this formation has trapped us for a long time. How could you break it so easily? Where do you think we can put our faces?" "Don't worry. Mu Tian has already been killed by me," Ning Yu said with a faint smile. Ning Yu's words were light and breezy. However, when it landed in the ears of Mu Feng and the others, it was like a clap of thunder. Mu Tian, who was extremely powerful, was killed just like that? It was no wonder that Mu Feng and the others didn't believe it. After all, the shock that Mu Tian gave them was too great. If someone told them that Mu Tian could fight against a half-step supreme being, they probably wouldn't be shocked. "You guys don't need to worry about this matter. I want to ask if there are any more medicinal ingredients to refine the revival pill?" Ning Yu didn't want to tell Mu Feng and the others the truth of the matter. If he told them that there were still Du Feng and Wan Quan, who knew how they would feel? There are only 2 sets of medicinal ingredients to refine the revival pill. One of them is with Dan Xingzi. As for the other, taking a deep breath, Mu Feng said, "It's not complete." "Not complete? Which medicinal ingredient is missing?" Ning Yu asked. "Snake gall grass." Mu Feng answered honestly. "Snake gall grass, huh? It's a little troublesome." Ning Yu frowned slightly and muttered. Although the snake gall grass wasn't the most expensive medicinal ingredient to refine the revival pill, it was the most difficult to obtain. "Ning Yu, I know who has the snake gall grass." Chapter 853. Chapter 853. Duan Qing, who is he? Ning Yu asked with a frown. "An old man." Mu Feng replied, "Speaking of which, it was a coincidence that I was able to meet that old man." Then, Mu Feng told him about the situation when he met the old man. Mu Feng spoke while Ning Yu listened. After a while, Ning Yu figured out the ins and outs. It turned out that the old man had bumped into Mu Feng on the streets of the capital, and a snake gall grass had fallen to the ground. How could Mu Feng let go of such a good opportunity? Hence, Mu Feng had spent a small amount of money to purchase the snake gall grass. After returning, Mu Feng sent someone to follow the old man and only called the person back after discovering the old man's residence. "What's the old man's cultivation base?" Ning Yu asked. I'm not very sure about his exact cultivation base, Mu Feng recalled and said, but from the aura that the old man emitted, I can determine that his cultivation base should be around the primordial core realm. Around the primordial core realm? Ning Yu vaguely felt that something was amiss. The snake gall grass was extremely precious, and even if the old man carried it with him, he would be extremely careful. However, not only did the old man carry the snake gall grass with him, but he also coincidentally bumped into Mu Feng, causing the snake gall grass to fall to the ground. The series of coincidences made Ning Yu extremely careful. Bring me to see that old man. After pondering for a moment, Ning Yu's figure flashed and he immediately rushed out of the main hall. As the Dark Emperor was still refining Du Feng, Ning Yu temporarily left him in Danwu College. The Dark Emperor was an early-stage manifestation realm cultivator. Together with the silver-winged dragon, the twin horns beast, and old ancestor Jiumo, he could even fight against a peak-stage manifestation realm cultivator. As for the Red Devil and Furball, they followed closely behind Ning Yu. Russell. On the streets of the capital, Ning Yu, the Red Devil, and Mu Feng walked side by side. There are more and more experts in the capital. Feeling the strong auras of the surrounding cultivators, Ning Yu muttered to himself. In the past, primal core cultivators were rarely seen. Now, there are as many primal core cultivators as there are dogs, yin-yang cultivators everywhere, and even a few creation realm cultivators. Ever since the day after you left the capital, the number of unfamiliar faces in the capital has gradually increased. Mu Feng nodded his head and said, however, I have sent experts to the 4 entrances of the capital. As long as a peak manifestation stage martial artist enters the capital, they will inform me immediately. Currently, no peak manifestation stage martial artist has appeared in the capital. Rumble. However, before Mu Feng could finish his sentence, a terrifying aura soared into the sky from afar. The aura of someone at the peak of the blessed realm? I didn't expect there to be a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm in the capital. What's there to be surprised about? A few days ago, there was a martial artist at the peak of the blessed realm attacking Danwu College, but wasn't it still resolved? Although that's the case, the atmosphere in the capital has been getting heavier and heavier. I predict that there will be a bloodbath in the near future. Let's get ready and hide in another city. The terrifying aura that soared into the sky, coupled with the discussions that entered his ears, made Mu Feng's face burn. He felt very embarrassed. A slap in the face. A naked slap in the face. Mu Feng had just said that there were no martial artists at the peak of the blessed realm in the capital, and there was a martial artist who responded with a terrifying aura. It was indeed a little embarrassing. Don't worry, the capital will not be the center of the whirlpool. At most, it will be a transitional place. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating that Mu Feng did not need to worry. From Wu Xie's words, Ning Yu could roughly determine that the center of the whirlpool was most likely the magical beast mountain range. That's not what I'm worried about. Ning Yu's words dispelled Mu Feng's awkwardness. Mu Feng shook his head and said, the direction in which the aura of the peak of the blessed realm soared into the sky is the direction we are going. I'm afraid that we might encounter trouble. He, a mere martial artist at the peak of the blessed realm is not worth mentioning. Ning Yu smiled faintly, then moved his feet and walked forward. Mu Feng and the Red Devil looked at each other and quickly chased after him. Sometimes, a person's judgment could be wrong. It did not seem too far, but Ning Yu and the others walked for more than 10 minutes before they arrived. Bang bang bang! In front of a dilapidated courtyard, Mu Feng was knocking on the door. Creak! Not long after, the door slowly opened from the inside, and a young man appeared in front of Ning Yu and the others. Everyone, come over here. Master is refining elixirs. We can only see him in about an hour. The young man said. Not simple. Ning Yu's eyes swept over the young man and his face became solemn. On the surface, the young man's cultivation was roughly at the primal core realm. However, Ning Yu's sharp perception discovered that the young man's cultivation should not be lower than the yin-yang realm. There was even a high possibility that he was at the blessed realm. Thinking of this, Ning Yu secretly became cautious. Everyone, rest here for the time being. Once Master comes out, I will immediately bring you to see him. The young man brought Ning Yu and the others to a room, then left directly. Don't be impatient. Let's wait and see. Seeing that Mu Feng wanted to say something, Ning Yu immediately sat on a chair and closed his eyes. Seeing Ning Yu's action, Mu Feng also sat on a chair and closed his eyes to rest. Creak. At the same time, the young man walked into a room not far away. If Mu Feng was here, he would definitely find that there was another person in the room. It was the old man who sold him the snake gall grass. Master, I don't understand why you insist on seeing Ning Yu. The young man complained. According to my observation, Ning Yu is sloppy and ordinary. The strength of his soul energy is at most at the peak of the 6th grade. The reason why I want to see Ning Yu is because I want to test him. If he is suitable, I plan to take him as my disciple. The old man smiled faintly. Swoosh. Hearing this, the young man jumped up and said in surprise, Master, you actually want to take Ning Yu as your disciple? Are you sure you are not joking? You should know that with your position in the Alchemist Union, as long as you reveal the news of taking in a disciple, I am afraid the door will be broken. Duan Qing, you should know very well that I take in a disciple by fate. If there is no fate, no matter how talented he is, I will not take him as my disciple. The old man said, Didn't I take you as my disciple because we are fated? Seeing that Duan Qing still wanted to say something, the old man interrupted him and continued. Go and test Ning Yu. Help me check him out. Okay, I also want to see what is so special about this Ning Yu. Duan Qing said coldly and left the room without looking back. Looking at Duan Qing's back, the old man murmured. Chapter 854. Alchemy Furnace Heavenly Ranking Chapter 854. Alchemy Furnace Heavenly Ranking Creek. After leaving the old man's place, Duan Qing came to the room that Ning Yu was in and directly pushed the door open. Swoosh. The door was pushed open and Ning Yu and Mu Feng opened their eyes simultaneously. A hint of anger appeared on their faces. Although this is your house, we are guests. Isn't it a little inappropriate to enter without knocking? Ning Yu, my master said that if you want to see him, you have to defeat me. Duan Qing did not care about Ning Yu's strange expression at all and said proudly, Be it in alchemy or martial arts. Young hero, our main purpose of coming here is to buy. Mu Feng was afraid that Ning Yu and Duan Qing would have a conflict, so he quickly said, I don't care what you are here for. In short, you have to defeat me first. Duan Qing interrupted Mu Feng and said coldly. Mu Feng was slightly embarrassed by Duan Qing's interruption. You are very strong. When they were in the courtyard, Ning Yu did not probe Duan Qing deeply. After all, he was a guest and it was not convenient for him to probe him openly. However, now that the other party had said such provocative words, it would be a little unreasonable if he still had scruples about this. Ning Yu's perception began to probe Duan Qing's body without restraint. Duan Qing raised his eyebrows as if he had discovered something but could not touch it. Ning Yu, I don't need you to praise me whether I am strong or not. You only need to answer me. Do you dare to fight with me? His real cultivation should be half-step to the manifestation realm, and his soul strength is at the early stage of the 7th grade. After roughly determining Duan Qing's cultivation and soul strength, Ning Yu said calmly, Tell me, how do you want to fight? Alright, I like straightforward people like you. Duan Qing flicked his sleeves and 2 storage bags flew out in an instant. Seeing Ning Yu catch the storage bag steadily, Duan Qing said, Don't say that I bullied you. There are 2 sets of medicinal materials needed to refine the 6th grade elixir congealing pill. Let's compete in alchemy here. Rules. Ning Yu's tone was calm. 1 hour, whoever refines the highest quality spirit congealing pill within an hour will be the winner. Ning Yu being so calm made Duanqing very unhappy. I am an early stage 7th grade alchemist, and you are only a peak 6th grade alchemist. There is a big gap between the two of us. Like this kind of 6th grade spirit congealing pill, I can casually refine a top grade level. What right do you have to be so pretentious? An hour is too long. For a qualified alchemist, the spirit congealing pill can be refined in only half an hour. Ning Yu waved his hand and said, if there's no problem, let's start now. I have something important to discuss with your master. I can't wait too long. Humph! Arrogant! Duanqing snorted coldly and immediately took out the pill furnace that he carried with him. He immediately sat cross-legged and began to refine the spirit congealing pill. The pill furnace on the heavenly list? Seeing Duanqing take out the pill furnace, Mu Feng was surprised. At least you have some knowledge. Duanqing sneered and said, with this pill furnace, I can even compress the alchemy time to 20 minutes. Swish, swish, swish. Ning Yu didn't care whether Duanqing pretended to be pretentious or not. He just wanted to refine the spirit congealing pill as soon as possible and then go see Duanqing's master. Once he got the snake gall grass, he could prepare to refine the good fortune pill. All of you go in. Seeing that Ning Yu didn't notice him at all, Duanqing felt that his pretentious act failed. He grabbed several medicinal materials and threw them into the pill furnace. Chi-chi. Several medicinal materials were constantly being burned in the pill furnace, making a sizzling sound. Not long after, these medicinal materials were all turned into medicinal liquid. Duanqing's action was very fast. The medicinal materials had just been refined, and he grabbed several medicinal materials and threw them into the pill furnace. In the short span of 5 minutes, Duanqing had already refined all the medicinal ingredients once. Next, he waited for the compression and pill formation. On the other hand, Ning Yu was not in a hurry, throwing the medicinal materials into the pill furnace one by one. With your refining speed, let alone refining the best spirit congealing pill, whether you can refine it is still unknown. Duanqing seemed to be very idle. While refining the pill, he also paid attention to Ning Yu's movements, especially when he saw that there were still a lot of medicinal materials left next to Ning Yu. He couldn't help but laugh. Hong Mo, you and Ning Yu have been together for a long time. Tell me the truth, can Ning Yu refine the spirit congealing pill? Not only was Duanqing not optimistic about Ning Yu, even Mu Feng was not optimistic about Ning Yu. Mu Feng was an 8th grade alchemist. According to Ning Yu's refining speed, he would definitely not be able to refine the spirit congealing pill within half an hour. Don't worry, Ning Yu will definitely be able to refine the spirit congealing pill. Hong Mo was very reassured about Ning Yu. What a joke, Ning Yu's alchemy level was very high. In addition, Ning Yu's soul force had reached the peak of the 6th grade. If he couldn't refine this kind of 6th grade pill, how could he survive in the continent in the future? I hope he can refine it as soon as possible. Although Hong Mo was very confident, Mu Feng was still not very optimistic about Ning Yu. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time passed by minute, and in a blink of an eye, 15 minutes had passed. Duanqing was compressing the pill, preparing for the final step of forming the pill. As for Ning Yu, although he had refined all the medicinal herbs, there was still a long way to go before he could form the pill. Another 5 minutes passed, and when the 20th minute arrived, Duanqing patted the pill furnace. Swish! In an instant, the pill lid burst open, and a round pill flew out of the pill furnace. Duanqing's eyes were sharp, and he grabbed the spirit congealing pill in his hand. Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill. Looking at the spirit congealing pill in Duanqing's hand, Mu Feng's mouth opened slightly, and his face was full of surprise. Duan Cheng can actually refine the Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill within 20 minutes. It seems that the strength of his soul force is at least 7th grade. Mu Feng was very clear about the difficulty of refining the Spirit Congealing Pill. With his 8th grade soul force, he might not be able to refine the Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill within 20 minutes. But Duan Cheng actually did it. Rise. Duan Cheng held the Supreme Spirit Congealing Pill in his hand and turned to look at Ningyu. However, just as Duan Cheng turned around, before he had time to speak, he saw Ningyu's palm also patting the pill furnace. Boom! A slightly muffled sound rang out. Then Ningyu put his palm into the pill furnace and took out a black pill. Seeing the black pill in Ningyu's hand, Duan Cheng was startled at first, and then he looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Ah! Duan Cheng laughed so wildly that he couldn't even straighten his back. Ningyu, I didn't expect you to be defeated in the first round of alchemy. It seems that the second round of fighting can be cancelled. Duan Cheng laughed sinisterly. Is that so? Hearing this, Ningyu raised his eyebrows, and then he put the black pill in his mouth and blew on it. Swish! In the next moment, a cloud of black powder was blown away. The Spirit Congealing Pill had completely changed. Chapter 855. Grade 3 Medicinal Pill Recipe, Hiss. Seeing the change of the Spirit Congealing Pill, Duan Cheng couldn't help but take a deep breath and was stunned in place. Transcendent Grade Spirit Congealing Pill. The quality of the Spirit Congealing Pill in Ningyu's hands had reached the terrifying Transcendent grade. Duan Cheng didn't expect that Ningyu, a 6th grade alchemist, could actually refine a Transcendent grade Spirit Congealing Pill. That was a Transcendent grade Spirit Congealing Pill. Even if he was given an hour, he might not be able to refine it. How did Ningyu do it? Gulp. After a long while, Duan Cheng swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, Ningyu, bring the medicinal pill over and let me check it. Swish. Ningyu didn't say much, flicked his wrist and threw the Spirit Congealing Pill to Duan Cheng. Taking the Spirit Congealing Pill, Duan Cheng examined it carefully, hoping to find a flaw. But unfortunately, no matter how Duan Cheng examined it, he couldn't find any flaws. Even Duan Cheng felt that the Transcendent grade Spirit Congealing Pill refined by Ningyu was perfect, so perfect that he felt ashamed of his inferiority. Can we move on to the next item? Seeing Duan Cheng in a daze, Ningyu said, I'm not in a good state today. I just refined the Supreme grade Spirit Congealing Pill. When I adjust my state to the peak, let's compete in alchemy again. Duan Cheng threw the Spirit Congealing Pill to Ningyu and snorted coldly. The next item, fighting. The space here is too small. In my opinion, it's better to go to the courtyard to fight. With that, Duan Cheng lifted his legs and was about to leave. No need. Ningyu waved his hand and said, In my opinion, this place is perfect for fighting. Are you sure you want to fight here? Duan Cheng couldn't believe what he heard and hesitated. One must know that he was a half-step creation realm cultivator, and his comprehensive strength was exceptionally heaven-defying. In the past, when his cultivation was still at the peak of Yin-Yang realm, he had killed a late-stage creation realm martial artist with his bare hand. Now that he had advanced to the half-step manifestation realm, he would probably be able to kill a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm effortlessly. Aren't you afraid of your friends getting hurt? Duan Cheng pointed at Mu Feng and Hong Mo. Their strength is passable. They shouldn't be injured, Ningyu said with a faint smile. That's what you said. Don't blame me if you accidentally hurt them later. As his cold voice fell, Duan Cheng rose from the ground and dashed toward Ningyu. In order to defeat Ningyu in one move, Duan Cheng even gathered the essence in his sea of consciousness on his wrist, bringing along a horrifying essence wind as he charged at Ningyu. This move. On the side, Mu Feng and the Red Devil's expressions changed. That was because Duan Cheng's move had indeed given them a great visual impact. Hong Mo was still alright. After all, he had fought with a half-step supreme being before, even though he was heavily injured. Mu Feng, on the other hand, was a little bitter. He even had the urge to bite the bullet and help Ningyu. The disciple actually has such heaven-defying strength. It seems that Master is not simple. Ningyu took a deep breath and gathered the essence qi in his sea of consciousness on his wrist as well. With a backhand, his palm came into contact with Duan Cheng's palm. Pa! A crisp sound rang in the room. Hua! At this moment, everything seemed to have come to a standstill. Bang! Then, Duan Cheng's body flew backward like a rubber ball, only stopping when he hit the wall. Poochie! Dark red blood spurted out. Duan Cheng's eyes were wide open as he looked at Ningyu like a fool. He was speechless for a long time. I lost just like that? If it was said that losing to Ningyu in refining the spirit congealing pill was understandable, then there was nothing much to say now that he was defeated in martial arts. I'm sorry, I was a little too heavy-handed. Sensing that Duan Cheng's aura had slightly weakened, Ningyu slightly knitted his brows and said, "But I had a sense of propriety. You only have a slight scratch, it's nothing serious." "Very good, you're much stronger than I imagined." Duan Cheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, as he slowly stood up from the ground and said coldly, "Follow me, I'll bring you to see Master." Creak. As he spoke, Duan Cheng directly left the room. Ningyu shrugged his shoulders and followed behind Duan Cheng. In fact, Ningyu had no other way. If he didn't suppress Duan Cheng, it would probably take a long time for him to see Duan Cheng's master. Although doing so would likely offend Duan Cheng, Ningyu really had no other way. Haha, heroes indeed come from the youth. Not simple, not simple. Just as Ningyu and Duan Cheng left the room, a faint laughter was heard. Looking over, they saw an old man standing in the courtyard. Sovereign realm? At first sight of the old man, Ningyu's body trembled as these words appeared in his heart. The reason why the old man gave Ningyu such a feeling was because the old man seemed to have fused with the space as he stood in the courtyard, faintly discernible. Such a state wasn't something an ordinary half-step sovereign realm cultivator could achieve. He's definitely in the sovereign realm, but I wonder what grade of sovereign he is. Ningyu murmured. Russell. Just as Ningyu was pondering, Duan Cheng had already arrived beside the old man. Master, disciple has tried. Ningyu isn't a simple person, Duan Cheng said obediently. I've already said that Ningyu isn't a simple person, but you didn't believe me. Great, now you know that there's always someone better out there, right? The old man said. Disciple understands. Disciple will definitely train harder in the future and strive to defeat Ningyu as soon as possible. Duan Cheng clenched his teeth. Senior, the main reason I'm here this time is to buy. Seeing the old man and Duan Cheng chatting idly, Ningyu couldn't help but interrupt. I know what you want, but before that, I want to test you. The old man waved his hand and interrupted Ningyu. I don't have much snake gall grass on me, and I'll have one less if I use it. If you're able to pass my test, then I can give you one for free. Ningyu's expression turned slightly ugly. First, his disciple came to test him and compete with him. Now, even his master wanted to test him. However, he had no choice but to lower his head. Ningyu could only nod and say, What does Senior want to test me on? I will definitely do my best to complete it. Actually, it's nothing much. I just have a pill formula here that lacks a medicinal ingredient and has 2 extra ones. The old man said, 1 extra medicinal ingredient and 2 missing medicinal ingredients. As long as you can name 2 of them, I'll give you the snake gall grass for free. Master, I only said 1 medicinal ingredient back then. Do you think Ningyu can name 2 medicinal ingredients? Duan Cheng couldn't help but ask. Whether he can say it or not, we'll only know after trying. The old man handed the pill formula to Ningyu. After taking the pill formula, Ningyu roughly glanced at the medicinal ingredient combination and couldn't help but frown. A 3rd-grade pill formula? Mu Feng and Hong Mo moved closer to Ningyu. Mu Feng was an 8th grade alchemist. At first glance, he could tell that this was a complete pill formula. Moreover, the medicinal ingredients recorded in the pill formula were very common. Chapter 856. Blood God Palace Expert Humph. Such a simple recipe, even an idiot would know it's the Qi Wave pill. Duan Qing snorted coldly when he heard Mu Feng's words. Mu Feng was a little embarrassed and wanted to flare up, but after seeing the old man, he chose to endure. The old man was a supremacy realm martial artist, and it was somewhat unwise to have a conflict with Duan Qing here. After all, not everyone was like Ningyu. Of course an idiot would know it's the Qi Wave pill. An idiot who is even more terrifying than an idiot can only name one herb. Mu Feng didn't respond, so Ningyu would definitely help him get back at him. Although the old man was a supremacy realm martial artist, no matter how one looked at it, he didn't want to kill Duan Qing. Oh, could it be that you can name 3 herbs? Duan Qing raised his brows and said disdainfully, "If you can name 3 herbs, I'll recognize you as my big brother in the future. It's actually not bad to have an underling following me." Ningyu first returned the recipe to the old man, then said, "There are many alchemists who know that the Qi Wave pill is a 3rd-grade medicinal pill, but there is a type of 8th-grade medicinal pill that is very similar to the Qi Wave pill." Duan Cheng's heart thumped, faintly worrying. "Qi Yuan pill," Ningyu said in a clear voice. "You just need to remove the dragon tiger grass, add in the heart essence and Romania beard, and this recipe will become the Qi Yuan pill's recipe." Whoosh! Every word of Ningyu fell on Duan Cheng's heart like thousands of boulders, pressing down on him until he couldn't breathe. Everything Ningyu said was true. Back then, Duan Qing only named 1 herb and didn't even think of the rest. Duan Qing was very puzzled. How did Ningyu, a native of the Xia kingdom, do it? He even knew the Qi Yuan pill's recipe. If Duan Qing knew that Ningyu was a peak 9th-grade alchemist in his previous life, he would probably faint on the spot. "Haha, I promised you that as long as you can name 2 herbs, I will give you the snake gall grass for free." The old man smiled and flicked out a snake-shaped herb. "It's the snake gall grass." Ningyu carefully caught the snake-shaped medicinal herb and put it into his storage ring. "Thank you, senior, for parting with me." Ningyu cupped his fists. "What do you mean by giving up? Are you willing to admit defeat?" The old man said, "Ningyu, I see that you have a high attainment in alchemy. I wonder if you can introduce me to your master? Just now, you said that you want to accept Ningyu as your disciple. Now, you are asking if he has a master? If he has a master, why would he acknowledge you as his master?" Duan Qing mumbled to himself. "My master?" Ningyu was slightly startled and immediately said, "My master likes to travel the world. Even I don't know where he is. I'm afraid I can't help you." "I see." The old man pondered for a moment before continuing, "Are you interested in learning alchemy from me? I'm afraid that's not good." Ningyu refused almost without thinking. However, before Ningyu could finish his words of rejection, he stopped abruptly. Boom! At the same time that Ningyu retreated, the door of the courtyard was smashed into pieces by a huge attack. Subsequently, a group of 3 martial artists slowly appeared in Ningyu's vision. Sensing the terrifying aura emitted from the 3 martial artists, even though Ningyu was very calm, he could not help but gasp. The last 2 martial artists were still fine. Their cultivation was only at the peak of the manifestation realm. Although they could be ranked among the top among the martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm, they were only at the peak of the manifestation realm. There was nothing to be afraid of. The old man leading them was more terrifying. The supreme realm. The old man's cultivation was the same as Duan Cheng's master. They were also at the supreme realm. As for which grade of supreme realm they were, Ningyu could not tell for the time being. Only when they performed their moves would Ningyu be able to tell. Dong He. The old man in the lead first glanced at Ningyu, then at Duan Cheng's master. He said in a low voice, "I advise you to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you are accidentally injured, it has nothing to do with me. Blood Puppet Patriarch, this is my territory. What are you doing here?" Dong He's face was cold as he questioned. "What am I doing here?" The Blood Puppet Patriarch sneered and pointed at Ningyu. "I came to the Great Xia Kingdom this time, mainly to investigate the matter of Rong Wei's death. After my investigation, all the signs pointed to the fact that the one who killed Rong Wei was the martial artist beside you, Ningyu. If you want to kill Ningyu, you have to ask for my permission first," Dong He said coldly. "You? Ah." Blood Puppet Patriarch laughed maniacally at the sky. He immediately berated, "You think you can stop me? If I, Blood Puppet Patriarch, want to kill someone, no one can protect him. Fine, I already had some friction with you. Today, I will settle old and new grudges together. I will start with you first." Buzz buzz. Blood Puppet Patriarch was swift and decisive. As soon as he made his move, he immediately merged into the void. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Dong He and punched at Dong He's head. When supreme beings exchanged blows, every single punch contained a terrifying fluctuation of primordial qi. "Ningyu, I will stop Blood Puppet Patriarch. You two go first." Dong He pushed Duan Cheng away. He grabbed at the void with his right hand and fought with Blood Puppet Patriarch. "Go? Where are you going?" At this time, the two peak manifestation realm martial artists that Blood Puppet Patriarch brought locked their auras on Ningyu. One of the peak manifestation realm martial artists said sinisterly, "If Blood Puppet Patriarch wants you dead by midnight, you won't live until midnight. What should we do?" Mu Feng, who was beside Ningyu, asked solemnly. "What else can we do? Kill." Ningyu flicked his wrist and instantly drew out the red devil sword. He immediately rushed at the peak manifestation realm martial artist in front of him. Since Blood Puppet Patriarch mentioned Rong Wei, Ningyu could basically be sure that Blood Puppet Patriarch was from Blood God Palace. Ningyu would not hold back when dealing with people from Blood God Palace. People from sects like Blood God Palace and Corpse Een sect did all kinds of evil and were extremely cruel. Even if he had not been besieged by Venerable Corpse Een and Venerable Blood God in his previous life, Ningyu would have killed them on the spot. "Hang Su, go and deal with the rest. Leave Ningyu to me." The peak manifestation realm martial artist who spoke just now saw Ningyu rushing toward him. He immediately waved his hand and signaled his companion to deal with the others. "Su Bo, don't go overboard." Blood Puppet Patriarch said that he would keep Ningyu alive and refine him into a corpse puppet. The peak manifestation realm martial artist called Hang Su left these words and then turned into a shadow, rushing toward Duan Cheng. Damn it! Duan Cheng's expression was very ugly. Although he was very strong and had killed a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist when he was at the peak Yin-Yang realm, Hang Su was infinitely close to the half-step supreme realm. In a sense, Hang Su's combat power was stronger than even a martial artist who had just advanced to the half-step supreme realm. "Mu Feng, Red Devil, go and help Duan Cheng." Ningyu rushed towards Su Bo as he turned his head and said, "Haha, a half-step manifestation realm martial artist dares to be distracted when fighting with me? It seems that he is really tired of living." Chapter 857. Chapter 857. Killing One First, Noisy. Ningyu did not want to waste time with Su Bo. He clenched his right fist and punched Su Bo's face. Ningyu would not hold back against a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm like Su Bo. Not only did Ningyu wrap his Yuan Qi around his fist, but he also wrapped his soul power around his wrist. He wanted to give Su Bo a fatal blow. Child's play. Su Bo did not think much of Ningyu. He was worried that he would kill Ningyu with one move, so he only used 80% of his strength. Severely injure but not kill. That was what Su Bo was thinking. Bang! There was a saying that went, "Dreams are plentiful, but reality is cruel." When the two fists collided, Su Bo even had the urge to curse. The taste of blood in his throat and the numbness in his fist made Su Bo's face darken. "Ningyu, no wonder you could make Blood Puppet Patriarch come in person. You are so strong," Su Bo said coldly. "You only know now? It's too late." Ningyu held the red devil sword in his hand and rushed out again. "I failed to subdue you with my previous move because I was careless. Now I will show you what true strength is." Su Bo grabbed the air, and a Yuan Qi light ball was caught in his hands. The next moment, Su Bo suddenly exerted force and threw the Yuan Qi light ball at Ningyu. Solitaire. Ningyu did not care about the Yuan Qi light ball. He injected the Yuan Qi in his spiritual sea into the red devil sword and slashed out with a sword wave. Qi. The Yuan Qi light ball was scattered when it came into contact with the sword wave. What? Su Bo's expression changed when he saw his Yuan Qi light ball being easily dispersed. He felt that it was unrealistic. One had to know that Su Bo's Yuan Qi light ball was his trump card. When Su Bo was in the late stage of the creation realm, he had used this move to easily kill a martial artist at the peak of the creation realm. Right now, Ningyu was only half a step into the manifestation realm. Why was this move useless? Haha, I'll return the same words to you. You dare to get distracted while fighting me? You must be tired of living. Ningyu smiled as he waved the red demon's sword in his hand. Voila! In the air, several sword waves rose and attacked Su Bo in an overwhelming manner. Every single sword wave was extremely fast. Before Su Bo could even react, they had already arrived beside him, and all of them had blasted onto Su Bo's body. Whoosh! Although Su Bo was a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm, he was helpless against so many sword wave. Without a doubt, the sword wave left several bloody marks on Su Bo's body. At this moment, Su Bo's entire body was bleeding profusely. He looked very pathetic. Only actions can prove how strong a person is. Empty words won't end well. Ningyu moved his feet and appeared in front of Su Bo in an instant. Remember this in your next life. Keep your eyes open. Not everyone is someone you can afford to offend. Poof! As he spoke, Ningyu stabbed the red demon's sword in his hand. With a muffled sound, the flying sword stabbed into Su Bo's heart. You, actually. Su Bo looked down at the blood-red flying sword at his heart. He had never expected that such a thing would happen to him. He was a martial artist at the peak of the manifestation realm. Why couldn't he defeat a martial artist at the half-step into the manifestation realm? Thump! Before Su Bo could finish his words, his body fell backward and he died on the spot. Swoosh! After killing Su Bo, Ningyu did not rest and immediately joined the other side of the battlefield. Although Duan Qing, the Red Demon, and Mu Feng were very strong, Hang Su was even stronger. Duan Qing and the rest could fight against ordinary martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm and even kill them. However, against a heaven-defying powerhouse like Hang Su, they could only hold on bitterly. If they were the slightest bit careless, they could be killed by Hang Su. Ningyu. Originally, Mu Feng was still thinking about how to persevere. Now that he saw Ningyu join the battlefield, he was overjoyed. Mu Feng still believed in Ningyu's strength. You guys recuperate first. Leave Hang Su to me. Looking at Mu Feng, Duan Qing, and the rest, Ningyu said in a deep voice. Mu Feng, Duan Qing, and the rest had injuries of different degrees. Especially Mu Feng, he was the weakest and the most heavily injured. Duan Qing and the Red Demon were slightly better, but not by much. If such a high-intensity battle continued, they could only last for 3 minutes at most. Ningyu, Hang Su is infinitely close to becoming a half-step supremacy. Alright, let's recuperate first. Hearing Ningyu's words, Duan Qing hurriedly said. However, Duan Cheng's words came to an abrupt halt. Because Duan Cheng saw Su Bo lying on the ground on the other side, dead. In such a short period of time, Ning Yu actually killed Su Bo. From this, it could be seen that Ning Yu's strength was definitely not weak. Only a fool would not make use of such a good opportunity. Duan Cheng immediately retreated from the battlefield and began to recuperate. Mu Feng and the Red Demon also flew to the other side and began to recuperate. Ning Yu, you killed Su Bo? At first, Hang Su did not know why Ning Yu would join the battle. However, when he saw Su Bo lying on the ground not far away, his eyes suddenly widened and revealed a look of extreme disbelief. Su Bo's strength was not weak. If Ning Yu could even kill Su Bo, it seemed that his strength was not weak. Why do the people from the Blood God Palace talk so much nonsense? The truth is right in front of you, don't you know how to look? Hang Su did not attack immediately, so Ning Yu was also happy to be idle. Coincidentally, he could use this period of time to recuperate. When he killed Su Bo just now, he had consumed a lot of energy, so the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness had not recovered to its peak state. If he fought with Hang Su now, there was no guarantee that something unexpected would happen. Look, of course I will look. Hang Su was not a fledgling, so he instantly guessed what Ning Yu was thinking. With a low roar, Hang Su stomped on the ground and his body instantly dashed out. Whoosh! Hang Su's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived beside Ning Yu and punched at Ning Yu's heart. Ning Yu, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you killed Su Bo. To tell you the truth, I have endured for a long time in the Blood God Palace. My strength is twice as strong as Su Bo's. You are twice as strong as Su Bo, but what does that have to do with me? Ning Yu spread his hands and then his figure flashed, choosing to avoid the attack. Whoosh! Whoosh! In midair, Ning Yu and Hang Su played hide-and-seek. A moment ago, Ning Yu appeared here, and the next moment, he tore the void and appeared on the other side. Moreover, Ning Yu took advantage of Hang Su's carelessness to sneak up on him a few times. Enough. After about 10 minutes, Hang Su finally could not take it anymore and shouted, Ning Yu, do you only know how to run? If you run again, I will let the Blood Puppet Patriarch personally take action. Buzz. Hang Su's words were very lethal. Chapter 858. Chapter 858. Defeat You, the Blood Puppet Ancestor is a Grade 1 human supreme martial artist. Dong He is also a Grade 1 human supreme martial artist. Ning Yu turned his head to look at the two people fighting in the void and said calmly, Do you think the Blood Puppet Ancestor can deal with me when two Grade 1 human supreme martial artists are fighting? Humph. The Blood Puppet Ancestor's strength is not something you can figure out. To tell you the truth. Hang Su snorted. Don't tell me the truth. What truth can the people from the Blood God Palace say? Ning Yu interrupted Hang Su and said, I can kill Su Bo, so I can kill you too. Haha, a person who doesn't dare to fight me head-on actually said that he can kill me. Don't you feel a little ashamed? Hang Su smiled sinisterly. How could that be? Ashamed is more suitable to describe you. Ning Yu said calmly, a warrior at the peak of the Fate Realm against a warrior at the half-step to the Fate Realm, and he couldn't even touch his clothes in 10 minutes. If this gets out, I'm afraid I'll become a laughingstock. You're courting death. Hang Su originally wanted to endure a little longer and wait for an opportunity to probe Ning Yu's weakness. However, after hearing Ning Yu's sarcastic words, he could no longer endure it. He decided to let Ning Yu know how powerful he was. Buzz. Hang Su's hands tore the void and his body rushed in like a bolt of lightning. Without any warning, Hang Su disappeared just like that. The moment Hang Su disappeared, Ning Yu closed his eyes and released his perception. 3 meters to the left. With Ning Yu's keen perception, he easily found Hang Su's position. 5 meters to the right. However, Hang Su did not appear in the void immediately. Instead, He kept jumping, hoping to confuse them. Unfortunately, every time Hang Su changed his position, he was locked on by Ningyu. Hong Imo, Mu Feng, Duan Qing, attack with all your strength 10 meters to my right. Suddenly, Ningyu shouted. Boom. Hearing this, Mu Feng and the others did not dare to be negligent. They hurriedly attacked the space 10 meters to the right of Ningyu. A deafening sound resounded in the area. Soon after, a miserable figure was blasted out of the void. Hang Su. The figure that was blasted out of the void was none other than Hang Su. Hang Su's expression was ugly to the extreme. How did you find me? Hang Su couldn't understand how the concealment technique he was so proud of couldn't hide from Ningyu. Your concealment technique still needs to be improved. Seeing Hang Su's expression, Ningyu easily guessed what he was thinking. Spells like concealment were basically useless against Ningyu. Unless it was a supreme being martial artist who used a concealment technique, Ningyu could easily locate anyone else who used a concealment technique. Alright, it's about time. I can send you to the afterlife. Ningyu would not miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Although Hang Su didn't suffer any fatal injuries from Mu Feng and the others' sneak attack, his strength had definitely declined. Ningyu might be a little afraid of Hang Su at his peak, but Ningyu was completely fearless in his current state. Kill him! In the next instant, Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and instantly appeared in front of Hang Su, fighting with him. Due to the decline in Hang Su's strength, he was firmly at a disadvantage in a head-on clash with Ningyu. Damn it! I have to think of a way. Hang Su wasn't an idiot like Su Bo, who knew that Ningyu was strong but still wanted to show off. He knew his position very well. At his peak, he was stronger than Ningyu, but now, he was weaker than Ningyu. Mu Feng, do you think Ningyu can kill Hang Su? Duan Qing asked solemnly as he stared at the battlefield in midair. Actually, I have no way to judge. Mu Feng hesitated and said, Ningyu is very strong, and even Su Bo was easily killed by him. However, Hang Su's strength is even stronger than Su Bo, so Mu Feng didn't continue, but his meaning was self-evident. Don't worry. Mu Feng and Duan Qing didn't know Ningyu's strength, but the Red Demon was very clear about it. In the Red Demon's opinion, Ningyu could definitely defeat Hang Su. As for whether or not he could kill Hang Su, it would depend on the battle. The reason why the Red Demon was so sure was that Ningyu had yet to display his strongest strength. He was the spiritual body of the Red Demon sword. When he was outside the Red Demon sword, Ningyu's strength would drop by at least 20% while he was wielding the Red Demon sword. If Ningyu could steadily gain the upper hand in this state, one could imagine that as long as he fused with the Red Demon sword, Ningyu would definitely be able to kill Hang Su easily. It would be a lie to say that I'm not worried, Duan Qing muttered to himself. In fact, it was no wonder that Duan Qing was concerned about whether Ningyu could win or not. This was because Ningyu's victory directly concerned his life and death. His master, Dong He, was currently fighting with the blood puppet ancestor in the void. As for when he would return, it was still unknown. Under this premise, Ningyu had become his hope of survival. Ha ha ha, Ningyu, although you can suppress me, killing me is harder than ascending to the heavens. Hang Su laughed maniacally as he fought with Ningyu. Give me another 10 minutes, and I will be able to recover to my peak state. When that time comes, it will be your death. 10 minutes? The corner of Ningyu's mouth curled up. When that time comes, I will have already killed you to the point where not even a scrap will be left. Humph. The ignorant are fearless. You think that you can suppress the entire world just by suppressing me a little? Too ignorant, too young, too young. Hang Su snorted coldly. Too young. Ningyu raised his eyebrows. Then, a violent soul force appeared on his palm. The strength of a 6th-grade soul force? Let me tell you with my strength. This level of soul force is useless against me. Hang Su laughed coldly. Then, a thick wave of primal chi appeared on his right hand. With a backhand strike, he struck at Ningyu. Since you are seeking death, I will fulfill your wish. Ningyu's tone was very calm. There was no joy or sorrow as he pushed his palm forward. Life and death palm. However, when Ningyu's palm came into contact with Hang Su's, he shouted softly. But a crisp sound resounded in the area. Then, Hang Su instinctively let out a hysterical roar. Hang Su spat out a mouthful of blood. The aura that was originally at the peak of the manifestation realm dropped to the early stage of the manifestation realm within a second. Moreover, it was still dropping rapidly. Crack. After his aura dropped to the freezing point, Hang Su's knees bent slightly and he knelt on the ground. Why was that palm of yours so powerful? Hang Su gritted his teeth as he endured the pain coming from his palm. There's no harm in telling you. I used the life and death palm, a soul attack spell, Ningyu said calmly. Chapter 859. Blood God Thunderbolt Bullet Swish. 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 Seeing that Hang Su was injured, Mu Feng, Duan Cheng, and Hong Mo landed beside Ningyu. Let me kill him. Duan Cheng's tone was cold and furious. Wait. Ningyu waved his hand, gesturing for Duan Cheng to calm down. Why not kill him as soon as possible? Hong Mo and Mu Feng were puzzled. In the past, Ningyu had always been cruel to his enemies. He would kill if he could, without holding back. Why didn't he kill Hang Su from the Blood God Palace right away? He's still useful. Ningyu kicked Hang Su to wake him up. You'll die a horrible death. After waking up, Hang Su didn't change and cursed. Let me go if there's a book. Let's fight again. What's the point of fighting a loser? Ningyu shrugged, then turned to Hong Mo and said, Stay here and watch him. I'll go watch the battle between the blood puppet ancestor and the rest. Hong Mo, I've left a trace of soul force in Hang Su's body. Watch my eyes. Ningyu sent a spiritual message to the Red Devil for the last few words. After all, it wouldn't be good if too many people knew about it. Ningyu, are you sure you want to watch the battle between the blood puppet ancestor and Senior Dong He? Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, Mu Feng quickly said, They're both first-grade mortal sovereigns. The shock waves from their battle could hurt. As he spoke, Mu Feng's voice gradually weakened. The shock waves from the battle between first-grade mortal sovereigns could easily kill a half-step to manifestation realm cultivator. However, Ningyu wasn't an ordinary half-step to manifestation realm cultivator. The shock waves from the battle between first-grade mortal sovereigns probably wouldn't pose any threat to Ningyu. You guys wait here and watch Hang Su. Don't let him escape no matter what. As Ningyu flew out, he left these words behind. Bang! As soon as Ningyu left, Duan Chengcheng kicked Hang Su and said coldly, Aren't you showing off? Aren't you very strong? Get up and hit me if you can. Seeing Duan Cheng like this, Hong Mo and Mu Feng chose to turn their heads to the other side. You're not much better than others if you show off when they're caught. Whoosh! At the same time, Ningyu had already arrived at the battlefield where Blood Puppet Patriarch and Dong He were fighting. Because Dong He was afraid that their battle would cause panic, he chose the 9 heavens as the battlefield. Although it was said to be above the 9 heavens, it was actually just high up in the sky. The level above the 9 heavens was beyond their reach. Boom! Blood Puppet Ancestor forced Dong He back with one move. He said in a low voice, Dong He, I didn't expect your strength to grow so quickly. It seems like I have to kill you today. Otherwise, after a while, even I won't be able to do anything to you. You want to kill me? Why don't you pee and look at yourself in the mirror? Dong He's tone was calm as he said, We're both first-grade human supremes, and my soul power is much stronger than yours. What do you have to kill me? Is it because of your eloquence? In the face of absolute strength, all schemes are useless. Blood Puppet Ancestor took out a black ball-shaped object from his chest and said coldly, I'll let you have a taste of it. As he spoke, Blood Puppet Ancestor suddenly shook his wrist and threw the black ball-shaped object. Not good. Looking at the ball-shaped object that was speeding towards him, Dong He's expression changed drastically as he hurriedly retreated. Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. What Blood Puppet Ancestor threw out was something specially developed by Blood Divine Palace, Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. The so-called Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb was divided into several grades. The lowest grade of Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb could only be used against Yin-Yang Realm warriors, while the slightly higher grade could be used against Creation Realm warriors. As for the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb that Blood Puppet Ancestor took out, it was the highest grade of Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. The power of its self-destruction could even injure a Supreme Realm warrior. Ha ha ha, Dong He, enjoy the power of the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. I'll go torture Ningyu first. After throwing out the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb, Blood Puppet Ancestor laughed and flew away from the area. Blood Puppet Ancestor, do you really want to torture me that much? However, before Blood Puppet Ancestor could fly far, Ningyu appeared in front of Dong He and said calmly, "Of course I want to torture you. Of course I want to torture you. You killed Rong, eh?" Blood Puppet Ancestor answered subconsciously. However, Blood Puppet Ancestor quickly reacted and hurriedly turned to look. "Ningyu? How come you're completely fine?" Blood Puppet Ancestor's eyes widened in surprise. From Blood Puppet Ancestor's point of view, Hang Su and Su Bo were enough to capture Ningyu. Blood Puppet Ancestor had even informed Hang Su and the others in advance, asking them to entertain Ningyu first. However, what he discovered now made him feel a little confused. "Ningyu, get out of the way!" Blood Puppet Ancestor was shocked. Ningyu's sudden appearance shocked Dong He even more. One had to know that the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb was flying towards them at an extremely shocking speed. "Pa!" Ningyu waved at Dong He without turning his head. Then, he stretched out his right hand and firmly grabbed the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb in his hand. Swoosh! At this moment, time seemed to stand still. Dong He's eyes widened as an extremely terrified expression appeared on his face. That was a Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. It would explode upon contact. How could Ningyu dare to grab it with his hand? No. It didn't self-destruct. Suddenly, Dong He seemed to think of something and said in surprise, "Ningyu, how did you do it?" The Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb was said to explode upon contact. Why did it not self-destruct when Ningyu was holding it in his hand? Could it be that because Blood Puppet Ancestor was in a hurry, he did not open the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb and threw it out? A series of questions rose in Dong He's mind, causing him to shift his gaze to Blood Puppet Ancestor. At this moment, Blood Puppet Ancestor was even more confused than Dong He. Gulp! Blood Puppet Ancestor even swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said in disbelief, "You can actually control the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb." Blood Puppet Ancestor was 100% sure that he had opened the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. The current situation made him suspect that the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb he had thrown out was a fake. Phew! Ningyu let out a long sigh after sending a bit of soul power into the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. At that moment, Ningyu faintly discovered the flaw of the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb. Therefore, Ningyu rushed out without saying a word. To be honest, Ningyu was taking a huge risk by doing this. If he failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Ningyu controlled the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb and neutralized the terrifying power that was about to explode. Ningyu carefully put the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb into his storage ring and said indifferently, "Blood Puppet Ancestor, the Blood Divine Thunderbolt Bomb was taken by me, Su Bo was also killed by me, and even Hang Su is under my control. You are now a commander without an army. What do you have to fight against us? Senior Dong, let's go down quickly, lest Blood Puppet Ancestor becomes desperate and attacks Duan Qing and the others." Ningyu glanced at Blood Puppet Ancestor, then said to Dong He, "Go." Chapter 860. Explosion. Damn it! When the Blood God Thunderbolt Bomb was snatched away by Ningyu, the Blood Puppet Patriarch was furious. Now that Ningyu and Dong He had left at the same time, he was even more furious. After cursing, the Blood Puppet Patriarch tore through the void with both hands, turning into an afterimage and disappearing. Buzz buzz. As the Blood Puppet Patriarch left a step after Ningyu and the others, he landed in the courtyard a step later. Let Hang Su go. In the courtyard, the Blood Puppet Patriarch saw that Hang Su's aura was weak, and even his legs were broken, and immediately shouted angrily, "Let him go!" Ningyu played with the Blood God Thunderbolt Bomb in his hand, pointed at Hang Su and said, "A warrior at the peak of the creation realm, if put in some special place, can even sell for a sky-high price. If you really want to save him, just give me a few million king-grade essence crystals." Hearing Ningyu's words, even Dong He could not hold back and laughed out loud. The Blood Puppet Patriarch was originally very angry, and now seeing the reaction of Dong He and the others, he clenched his fists and said fiercely, "Tens of millions of king-grade essence crystals, why don't you go rob them? I want to rob them, but someone won't give me the chance." The first half of Ningyu's sentence was said very calmly, but the second half took a turn, and he said gloomily, "I'll give you a minute to think about it. After a minute, if I still don't see king-grade essence crystals, then Hang Su will go accompany Su Bo." The Blood Puppet Patriarch's face was gloomy, and he was having an intense internal struggle. One had to know that tens of millions of king-grade essence crystals were all he had. Moreover, even if he wanted to take them out, there was no way. After all, he could not bring all his belongings with him when he went out. Right now, he only had a few million king-grade essence crystals on him. "Ningyu, I only have 3 million king-grade essence crystals on me." The Blood Puppet Patriarch took out a storage bag and said, 3 million king-grade essence crystals in exchange for Hang Su's life, how about that? 3 million king-grade essence crystals? Ningyu raised his eyebrows as if he was thinking. In fact, Ningyu did not plan to get the royal grade origin crystal from the Blood Skull Ancestor at all. The reason he had extorted the Blood Skull Ancestor was to prepare for what would happen next. Blood Puppet Patriarch's attitude towards Hang Su also confirmed Ningyu's guess. Hang Su's status in the Blood God Palace was much higher than Su Bo's. Otherwise, with Blood Skull Patriarch's personality, he would not care about Hang Su's life. After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said in a clear voice, "One hand over the crystals, the other hand over the people." "All right." Blood Puppet Patriarch responded. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed the storage bag towards Ningyu. Hong Fiend. Ningyu did not disappoint Blood Skull Ancestor. He winked at Red Devil, his meaning clear. The Red Fiend kicked Hang Su's back, sending him flying towards Blood Puppet Patriarch. But at the same time, Ningyu grabbed the storage bag and shouted, "Let's go! Go!" Hearing Ningyu's words and looking at Ningyu's face, Duan Qing could not understand. "I asked you to go, so go. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" Dong He knew that Ningyu would not speak without thinking. He grabbed Duan Qing and chased after Ningyu. Hang Su. Oh no. On the other side, Blood Puppet Patriarch caught Hang Su. Just as he was about to speak, his expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly tried to push Hang Su away. However, Blood Puppet Patriarch was obviously half a beat too slow. Rumble. In the blink of an eye, Hang Su's body expanded rapidly and then exploded with a loud bang. Hang Su was a peak manifestation realm martial artist. The aftermath of his explosion was extremely terrifying. Blood Puppet Patriarch was in the center of the explosion. Although he was a Grade 1 supreme martial artist, he did not gain any advantage. In fact, Blood Puppet Patriarch could only burn his blood essence to increase his defense, hoping to block the aftermath of Hang Su's explosion. What's going on? It seems like someone self-destructed. If I'm not wrong, the martial artist who self-destructed is at least a manifestation realm martial artist. I'm afraid you're wrong. The power of a manifestation realm martial artist's self-destruction can't be so weak. That's true. Could it be that a kind-hearted person stopped him? On the streets of the capital, pedestrians stopped in their tracks. However, the terrifying aftermath of Hang Su's self-destruction did not spread in all directions. Therefore, it did not cause too much panic in the capital. Hiss! At the same time, in a certain alley, Duancheng could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. No matter how stupid Duancheng was, he could guess what had happened. Self-destruction. Hang Su, a peak manifestation realm martial artist, was forced to self-destruct. Although he did not know why Hang Su self-destructed, Duancheng knew very well that he would die if he stayed in the courtyard. Beside Duancheng, Ningyu frowned and asked, "Senior Dong, your strength is about the same as Blood Puppet Patriarch's. After you blocked the self-destruction of a peak manifestation realm martial artist, how much strength do you have left?" "If it were me, I would probably have about half of my overall strength left," Dong he explained. "Half of my strength, huh? Can we kill our way back and kill Blood Puppet Patriarch once and for all?" Ningyu continued. Shaking his head, Dong he said, "That's impossible. Based on my understanding of Blood Puppet Patriarch, he will definitely use his unique secret technique to escape." "Senior Dong, after this serious injury, how long will it take for Blood Puppet Patriarch to recover?" This was what Ningyu was concerned about. This time, they had seriously injured Blood Puppet Patriarch. There was no way Blood Puppet Patriarch would not seek revenge. What Ningyu could do was to increase his strength as quickly as possible before Blood Puppet Patriarch recovered to his peak. At the very least, he had to raise his cultivation base to the manifestation realm before Blood Puppet Patriarch recovered to his peak. Otherwise, when Blood Puppet Patriarch returned, only death awaited him. "At most 10 days to half a month, at least 7 days, Dong he replied. "Senior Dong, I have something I need your help with." After pondering for a moment, Ningyu said, "Tonight, I plan to refine the life-giving pill. I would like to ask for your guidance." "I can't really call it guidance. With the strength of my soul power, refining the life-giving pill alone is more difficult." Dong he waved his hand and said, "I see that Dean Mu's soul power has reached the mid-stage of grade 8. Why don't we refine it together? It will increase the success rate. There's no time to lose. Let's hurry to Danwu College and try to refine the life-giving pill as soon as possible." Ningyu and the others did not linger here. They tore the void and flew toward Danwu College. Sha. After entering Danwu College, they rushed to the pill cavern without stopping. Ningyu and the others had just arrived at the entrance of the pill cavern when the Dark Emperor rushed out. Seeing Ningyu, the Dark Emperor was stunned at first. Then, he said anxiously, "Lu Wei's mother's condition is critical. If she can't take the life-giving pill within an hour, she might die from it. Also, Lu Wei has already woken up and is accompanying her mother now." "What?" Ningyu's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly pushed the Dark Emperor away and entered the pill cavern. Dong He and the others did not hesitate. They followed closely behind Ningyu and entered the pill cavern. Ningyu was worried about Lu Wei's safety. It was impossible to refine the life-giving pill within an hour. One could imagine that once Lu Wei's mother died, Lu Wei's emotions would definitely fluctuate greatly. Chapter 861. Young Master in the depths of the pill cave, in a slightly empty area. Lu Wei, Lu Durong, Dan Xingzi, and the others surrounded a stone bed. Lying on the bed was Lu Wei's mother. At this time, Lu Wei's emotions were a little unstable. She was lying on the stone bed with a depressed look on her face. Whoosh! Ningyu! Seeing Ningyu flying over, Lu Wei quickly got up and looked at Ningyu with anticipation. Lu Wei, don't worry. I'll start refining the life creation pill now. Ningyu released his perception, probing Lu Wei's mother on the stone bed. I'll be able to refine the revival good fortune pill soon. After comforting Lu Wei a little, Ningyu turned to the other side and discussed with Dong He. Through observation, Ningyu roughly determined that the Dark Emperor was right. Lu Wei's mother could only live for an hour at most. If he didn't take the good fortune pill within an hour, then only death awaited him. Ningyu, refining the revival pill in an hour is harder than ascending to the heavens. Ningyu knew the situation of Lu Wei's mother, so did Dong He. Not to mention 1 hour, even if he were to spend 3 or 10 hours, he might not be able to forge it. That's what I'm worried about. Ningyu gritted his teeth and said, what I mean is for Senior to stay here and temporarily suppress Auntie's internal injuries. I'll try to refine the good fortune pill. Although I can suppress her internal injuries, the good fortune pill isn't that easy to refine. With your peak 6th grade soul force, it's basically impossible for you to refine it. Although he admired Ningyu's courage, Dong He was still not optimistic about Ningyu. Let's try everything we can. There's no other way. Ningyu said in a low voice, I can't suppress the injuries in Auntie's body. Only if Senior takes action personally will she have a chance of survival. Alright. Since Ningyu strongly requested it, Dong He no longer insisted. He took out a scroll from his pocket and threw it to Ningyu. When you're refining the life creation pill, you can open this scroll. It can increase the strength of your soul power to the peak of level 7 in a short time. Thank you, Senior. Ningyu took the scroll, took the herbs needed to refine the revival good fortune pill, and flew to the other side. This time, only Ningyu was refining the life creation pill. Everyone else, including the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil, stayed where they were. After all, Ningyu was very worried about the injuries of Lu Wei's mother. If Dong He could only suppress it for 10 hours, and he couldn't refine the life creation pill, wouldn't he die? Therefore, Ningyu left the Dark Emperor and the others behind, and went to the deepest part of the pill cave alone. After confirming that it was safe, Ningyu took out the pill furnace that he carried around with him. The last time Ningyu fought with the half-step supreme martial artist Dan Puppet, there were very few Dan Puppets left in the pill cave. Even if there were 1 or 2 that escaped, they were Dan Puppets with low cultivation and didn't dare to show themselves. Under such circumstances, Ningyu naturally wouldn't worry about being disturbed. Although the life creation pill was only a level 8 elixir, it was one of the most difficult to refine. If the strength of Ningyu's soul force was at the peak of level 7 or level 8, with the experience from his previous life, he might have a 90% chance of refining the life creation pill. But now, even though Ningyu had the experience from his previous life, with the strength of his peak level 6 soul force, he only had less than a 10% chance of refining the life creation pill. With such a low probability, Ningyu definitely had to adjust his mental state to the best. Phew! About 10 minutes later, Ningyu slowly exhaled a turbid breath. Swoosh! With a flick of his wrist, he threw the pill furnace into the air. His right hand stuck to the bottom of the pill furnace, and wisps of vitality flowed into the pill furnace through his palm. The refining of the life creation pill was different from other elixirs. It required sufficient vitality, and the pill would explode if there was a slight carelessness. Therefore, Ningyu had to store a large amount of vitality in the pill furnace. Half an hour later, when 1/3 of the vitality in his body had been transferred into the pill furnace, Ningyu grabbed a medicinal herb with his left hand and threw it into the pill furnace. Chi-chi! As soon as the medicinal herb entered the pill furnace, it emitted a sizzling sound and was quickly refined. Refining the life creation pill required a lot of medicinal herbs, about a few hundred types. The first 100 medicinal herbs were not too difficult to refine, but it was a little complicated. This was also the reason why the life creation pill could be refined by many people. Everyone refined the medicinal herbs separately, and then the same person threw them into the pill furnace. Among the 100 medicinal herbs, the first few dozen were refined very quickly. Ningyu spent about 10 minutes to completely refine them. As for the last few dozen medicinal herbs, it took Ningyu an hour to completely refine them. Rise. After refining 100 medicinal herbs, Ningyu's soul force surged, and he took out 100 jade bottles from his storage ring, storing them separately. Because he needed to refine some elixirs for a long time, Ningyu brought a lot of jade bottles with him. Fortunately, the consumption isn't too big. Turning his head to look at the remaining 200 medicinal herbs, Ningyu muttered, "I reckon that I will only need to use the scroll when I refine the last 100 medicinal herbs." If he used the scroll for the first 200 medicinal herbs, then even if he could completely refine all the medicinal herbs, Ningyu would not be able to refine the life creation pill. Good steel should be used on the blade. Swish. After resting for a few minutes, Ningyu began to refine the medicinal herbs again. The middle 100 medicinal herbs were much more difficult to refine. Ningyu used a full 3 hours to completely refine them. Gotcha. After refining the middle 100 medicinal herbs, Ningyu took out a royal grade essence crystal and began to absorb it on the spot. Although the life creation pill was difficult to refine, it could be stopped in the process of refining medicinal herbs to replenish one's vitality. Only the matching process could not be stopped, otherwise all the previous efforts would be wasted. Have you investigated it? While Ningyu was concentrating on refining the life creation pill, in an unknown space, 2 martial artists were conversing. These 2 martial artists' cultivations were not low. One was a half-step supremacy, while the other was a grade 1 human supremacy. Among them, the grade 1 human supremacy said, "Was Kuemo killed in the Great Xia Kingdom's elixir cavern?" Replying to young master, Kuemo was killed when the Great Xia Kingdom was expanding their territory in the elixir cavern. The half-step supremacy realm martial artist replied, "Good, very good. A small place like the Great Xia Kingdom actually had someone who could kill a half-step supremacy, Kuemo. Indeed, he is not simple." The corner of the human supremacy's lips curled up. "Go pick 10 half-step supremacy elixir puppets, and let them take a set of puppet battle armor from the treasury." "Young master, you mean, we are going to attack the Great Xia Kingdom?" the half-step supremacy asked. "Haha, we won't go so far as to attack, but Kuemo was killed in the Great Xia Kingdom." Chapter 862. Phew. Who? In the depths of the elixir cavern, Ningyu let out a long sigh as he looked at the 300 jade bottles placed around the elixir cavern. Although the last 100 herbs were extremely difficult to refine, with the scroll provided by Dong He, Ningyu managed to refine all of them without any mishap. After refining 300 medicinal herbs, Ningyu didn't have the slightest bit of excitement. This was because Ningyu knew very well that this was just the beginning. The most important part of the life creation pill was the proportion of herbs. If he was not careful, he would lose everything. In the best-case scenario, the pill would explode. In the worst-case scenario, he would be affected. There's still half an hour before the scroll's effect ends. I need to use this half an hour to settle the proportion of the 300 bottles of medicinal liquid. Ningyu's eyes turned solemn. Without any hesitation, he picked up a jade bottle, removed 1/3 of the medicinal liquid, and poured the rest into the elixir cavern. Swoosh. Following that, Ningyu used his peak rank, 7 soul strength to repeat the same actions. He picked up the jade bottle, removed the medicinal liquid, and directed the rest into the elixir cavern. Although half an hour was very tight, Ningyu did not dare to be careless. He remained cautious and focused. 10 minutes passed. Ningyu completed the proportion of 100 bottles of medicinal liquid. 20 minutes passed. Ningyu completed the proportion of 200 bottles of medicinal liquid. The moment the 30th minute arrived. Rise. Ningyu bellowed. Immediately, the vitality in his consciousness poured out and entered the elixir cavern without reservation. At the same time, Ningyu's peak rank 6 soul strength entered the elixir cavern and began to compress the medicinal liquid. Sizzle! As the medicinal liquid was compressed, it made sizzling sounds. Damn it! My soul strength is not strong enough. Suddenly, when the medicinal liquid was compressed to 1/10, Ningyu's expression changed and he cursed. The life creation pill was the best among the rank 8 pills. With Ningyu's peak rank 6 soul strength, he naturally could not compress the medicinal liquid. If he couldn't strengthen his soul power in time, this batch of life-giving pills would most likely end in failure. What should I do? Ningyu's face was gloomy and uncertain. His eyeballs rolled as he tried to think of a countermeasure. In his current situation, Ningyu could only hold on for 10 minutes at most. After 10 minutes, if he couldn't increase the strength of his soul force to the peak of the 7th grade, then he could only declare the concoction a failure. Rumble! Just as Ningyu was thinking of countermeasures, the space in front of him suddenly split open and a cultivator appeared. You are Danny? Looking at the cultivator who suddenly appeared, Ningyu was stunned at first. Then, he revealed a shocked expression. Because Ningyu discovered that the martial artist in front of him was not a human, but a pill puppet. Human? When the half-step supremacy Danchi saw Ningyu, he was also slightly stunned. However, the half-step supremacy Danchi did not stay stunned for long. He said sinisterly, "Looks like my luck is not bad. I've just arrived at the Great Xia Kingdom and I've already met a human. Although his cultivation is only at the half-step manifestation realm, it's better than nothing. I'll devour and refine you first, then return to inform the young master." As soon as he finished speaking, the half-step supremacy Dan Qi stomped his feet on the ground and charged out. Damn it! If I had known earlier, I would have asked the Red Devil to follow me. Ningyu cursed in his heart. He immediately wielded the Red Devil sword and slashed out a sword wave. The instant the sword wave slashed out, Ningyu fled at high speed. Without the Red Devil sword's power was reduced by 20 to 30%. In addition, Ningyu had expended too much of his essence chi. Therefore, he basically had no chance of winning against the half-step supremacy. Dan Qi want to leave? How can it be so easy? Seeing that Ningyu wanted to leave, the half-step supremacy Dan Qi casually repelled the sword wave in midair and chased after Ningyu. Bang! Ningyu had only taken a dozen steps when the half-step supremacy Dan Qi caught up to him. In order to ensure that the cauldron wouldn't shatter, Ningyu could only use his body to withstand the fist of the half-step supremacy Dan Qi. There was no doubt about the result. A crisp sound rang out. Ningyu's body was sent flying several feet away. He spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and his aura rapidly weakened. Ha ha, I really don't understand why Kumo would die in the Great Xia Kingdom. With a wave of his hand, the half-step supremacy Dan Qi did not continue attacking. Instead, he laughed maniacally and said, "Looks like the 10 puppet warriors that young master asked me to choose are unnecessary. Not good." The half-step supremacy Dan Qi's maniacal laughter had yet to end when he revealed a look of horror and hurriedly retreated. However, the half-step supremacy Dan Qi's retreating speed was clearly slower by half a beat. Swish! A small branch suddenly shot out from Ningyu's body. It drew a beautiful arc in midair and appeared behind the half-step supremacy Dan Qi. The flower bud on the branch emitted a terrifying devouring power. The half-step supremacy Dan Qi let out a hysterical scream before he was completely devoured by the flower bud. Wung wung. After devouring the half-step supremacy Dan Qi, the flower bud trembled slightly in midair before regaining its calmness. There were still 6 petals on the flower bud, and the number did not decrease. From afar, Ningyu's mouth was slightly agape when he saw how powerful the flower bud was. Swish! However, the moment Ningyu opened his mouth, A pillar of energy shot out from the flower bud. Before Ning Yu could react, it directly entered Ning Yu's consciousness. Ning Yu did not dare to be slow. He immediately sat down cross-legged and circulated the spirit transformation technique to absorb the energy in his consciousness. Swish. However, before Ning Yu could finish absorbing the energy in his consciousness, another pillar of light shot out from the flower bud. Pure soul force. Feeling the terrifying soul force undulations from the pillar of light, Ning Yu was ecstatic. He hurriedly suppressed the energy in his consciousness and focused on devouring the pure soul force. Ning Yu's soul force was at 6th grade. If he devoured and refined all the soul force, his soul force would at least reach early stage 7th grade. Furthermore, after reaching early stage 7th grade, there would still be a lot of pure soul force left. Once his soul force was raised to early stage 7th grade, coupled with the remaining pure soul force, Ning Yu's success rate in refining the regeneration pill would increase to 50%. Bam! 5 minutes later, a dull sound was heard. Early stage 7th grade. At this moment, Ning Yu raised his soul force to early stage 7th grade. As soon as his soul force reached early stage 7th grade, Ning Yu took out the alchemy cauldron. His soul force entered the cauldron and began to compress the medicinal liquid. At the same time, to increase the success rate, Ning Yu threw the remaining pure soul force into the alchemy cauldron. Combining it with his early stage 7th grade soul force, he carefully compressed the medicinal liquid. Ning Yu was very careful in the process of compressing the medicinal liquid. He did not even dare to wipe off the sweat on his forehead. Drip, drip, bean-sized beads of sweat rolled down Ning Yu's cheek. Rise. After another 2 hours, Ning Yu suddenly opened his eyes. He slapped the alchemy cauldron with both hands and the lid flew up. Chapter 863. Chapter 863. Ouyang Luan returned Shua. Ning Yu stomped on the ground and rushed out. But he raised his right hand and firmly grabbed the elixir in his hand. Good fortune elixir. Mid-grade good fortune elixir. Looking at the mid-grade good fortune elixir in his hand, Ning Yu revealed a look of disbelief. Originally, Ning Yu thought that he could only refine a low-grade good fortune elixir. He did not expect to refine a mid-grade good fortune elixir at the last moment. A mid-grade good fortune elixir should be able to cure Lu Wei's mother's injuries. Ning Yu did not dare to stay here any longer. He hurriedly put away the elixir furnace and rushed to Lu Wei's side. Pucci. At the same time, in the area where Lu Wei was, Dong He, Mu Feng, and the others spurted out a mouthful of blood. Among them, Dong He's cultivation was the highest, so his injuries were the heaviest. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Mu Feng asked in a low voice, "Senior Dong, is there no other way? In the current situation, we can only pray that Ning Yu can rush back with the good fortune elixir in 10 minutes. Otherwise, she will die." In order not to worry Lu Wei, Dong He sent a soul message to Mu Feng. Although Dong He did not know that Lu Wei had an extreme body, he could guess something from Ning Yu's reaction. 10 minutes? Mu Feng frowned, his heart was filled with despair. If Ning Yu could refine the good fortune elixir, he would have done it long ago. He would not have waited until now. 10 minutes might be the last time Lu Wei's mother could live in this world. This is a conservative estimate. Dong He did not want to hurt Mu Feng, but he had to tell him the truth. If the situation continues to worsen, she will most likely die in 3 minutes. Hiss. Hearing this, Mu Feng sucked in a breath of cold air. Ning Yu might not even be able to rush back in 10 minutes, let alone 3. At this moment, Mu Feng and the others shook their heads, their faces filled with disappointment. "Don't worry, I will do my best to suppress her internal injuries." Dong He pondered for a moment before he gritted his teeth and said, "If I risk my life, I should be able to suppress it for another 2 minutes. Sigh, 2 minutes is practically useless, Mu Feng said with a sigh. Xiao. Suddenly, a figure tore through the void and gradually appeared in everyone's field of vision. Ning Yu. Lu Wei, who was beside the stone bed, hurriedly stood up and exclaimed in surprise. Senior Dong, this is a mid-grade good fortune pill. Please help Auntie consume it. Seeing the joy on Lu Wei's face, Ning Yu hurriedly threw the life creation pill to Dong He and said loudly, "The rest of you leave with me. Before Auntie recovers, no one is allowed to disturb Senior Dong." Pa. After saying this solemn sentence, Ning Yu grabbed Lu Wei's right arm and flew into the distance. Ning Yu, will my mother definitely recover? With her arm grabbed by Ning Yu, Lu Wei calmed down and asked. Don't worry, with the life creation pill and Senior Dong's strength, Auntie will definitely recover to her peak state. In order not to worry Lu Wei, Ning Yu said, you should be able to see Auntie early tomorrow morning. Well, thank you, Lu Wei said. It's fine. I promised to help you refine the life creation pill. I can't go back on my word. Ning Yu waved his hand and said with a faint smile, rest well later. I will bring you to see Auntie early tomorrow morning. How unkind. You have a wife and forgot about us. Behind Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor pursed his lips and said sourly, Red Skin, tell me honestly. How many royal-grade origin crystals did Ning Yu extort from that blood puppet patriarch? Recently, I lack royal-grade origin crystals. I can ask for a few million to make do. Hearing the Dark Emperor's words, the Red Devil's face darkened. Insatiable greed. This was the best way to describe the Dark Emperor. Damn it, Ning Yu only extorted a total of 3 million royal-grade origin crystals. If I give them all to you, what should we do? You should know that you are at the early stage creation realm, while I am only at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. Red Skin, you can't fight with me. Seeing that the Red Devil was silent, the Dark Emperor continued, you went out with Ning Yu and must have eaten a lot of meat. I have to drink some of the soup, right? At the side, Duan Cheng's mouth twitched a few times. Ate a lot of meat? He was almost blasted to smithereens by Hang Su. After fighting with the blood puppet patriarch and the other freaks, Duan Cheng finally understood that his strength was the weakest among this group of people. Perhaps he was just a little stronger than that white puppy on the Dark Emperor's shoulder. Woof. However, just as this thought appeared in Duan Cheng's mind, Furball turned around and barked at him. Puss! For some reason, Duan Cheng almost lost his footing and fell to the ground when Furball barked like that. If the Red Devil's face was filled with black lines just now, then Duan Cheng's entire body was filled with black lines now. The white puppy that he originally thought to be the weakest actually had such heaven-defying strength. Just a gaze and a roar made him feel uncomfortable all over, as if he was seen through. What kind of freaks are the people and dogs around Ning Yu? Duan Cheng secretly made up his mind that he would never provoke Ning Yu in the future, no matter what. He did not know that the people around Ning Yu were strong, and he could still provoke Ning Yu. However, after knowing that everyone around Ning Yu was a powerhouse, he would still foolishly provoke Ning Yu. That was not having a backbone, but idiocy. Oh right, how did Ning Yu refine the life creation pill? And it's a middle-grade one. Duan Cheng frowned slightly and fell into deep thought. He could not understand how Ning Yu's peak rank 6 soul strength could refine a middle-grade life creation pill. Could it be that Ning Yu is pretending to be weak? His soul strength is rank 8? Duan Cheng seemed to have thought of something, but he could not grasp it. Subsequently, Duan Cheng shook his head and threw these thoughts to the back of his mind. He quickly followed Ning Yu and the rest out of the pill cavern. After leaving the pill cavern, Ning Yu did not go too far away. Instead, he found a room closest to the pill cavern and stayed there. As for Mu Feng, he quickly left the forbidden area because there were still many things he needed to solve in Danwu College. Creak. In the room, Ning Yu sat upright on a chair. The worry on his face had lessened a little. As long as the life creation pill could cure Lu Wei's mother, Lu Wei's emotions would not be affected too much, and the extreme Yin body would not break out prematurely. I have to find a way to completely solve the hidden danger of the extreme Yin body. Ningyu looked at Lu Wei on the other side and said with a slightly solemn expression, "Bang." However, just as Ningyu finished his sentence, the door was suddenly pushed open before his but could even warm up. "Dean Mu? What's going on?" Ningyu stood up from the chair and asked hurriedly. "Ningyu, Ouyang is back. He said he has something urgent to see you." Chapter 864. The situation is critical, Ouyang. Hearing this, Ningyu was slightly startled at first, and then his expression changed drastically. Back when he left the capital, he gave Ouyang the task of going to Tianxian City to protect Ningyu. Now that Ouyang had returned to the capital, didn't that mean that the Ning family was in danger? "Dean Mu, bring me to Ouyang. Thinking of this, Ningyu's face turned completely gloomy. He lifted his leg and left the room. As Ningyu left, the Dark Emperor and Furball naturally followed closely behind. As for Lu Wei, after pondering for a moment, she chose to follow. After all, her mother would only recover the next morning. Rather than waiting here now, she might as well follow Ningyu to take a look. It's over, it's over, it's over, it's really over this time. In the conference hall of Danwu College, Ouyang was pacing back and forth in panic. If this trip to Tianxian City could be described with one word, it would be a failure. If there was only one word to describe it, it would be a complete failure. He was a middle-stage creation realm martial artist. The other party's late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist actually defeated him in one move. Moreover, it was the kind of defeat without any suspense. Ouyang still had a lingering fear when he recalled what had happened in Tianxian City. Bang! Right at this moment, Ningyu kicked open the door to the assembly hall and said in a low voice, "Ouyang, what the hell is going on?" Ningyu. Seeing Ningyu's gloomy expression, Ouyang heart skipped a beat, but he still answered honestly, "The Ning family in Tianxian City has been controlled by someone." "Tell me exactly what happened. If you leave out any detail, you should know the consequences," Ningyu said. "When I went to Tianxian City a few days ago, the Ning family hadn't been controlled yet." Ouyang didn't dare to be negligent and hurriedly explained, "I even helped the Ning family's grand elder, Ning Tang, as well as the Ning family's ancestor, Ning He, to improve their cultivations, allowing them to all advance to the Origin Dan realm. I also helped the Ning family's peerless geniuses of the younger generation, Ning Xian, Ning Hu and Ning Xian, to improve their cultivations, allowing them to all advance to the true martial realm. However, good times don't last. 3 days ago, a mysterious force suddenly entered the Ning family. I will definitely resist. However, the mysterious faction is very powerful. One of them, a late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, defeated me in one move." "A late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist defeated you in one move?" Hearing this, Ningyu slightly frowned and asked, "Do you know the identity of the mysterious force? Is it the Blood God Palace or the Corpse Sect?" "It's not the Blood God Palace or the Corpse Sect." Ouyang shook his head and said, "If it's the Corpse Sect or the Blood God Palace, they will most likely start a massacre in Tianxian City. Even I won't be spared." "That makes sense," Mu Feng, who was next to him, said. "Also, I can clearly feel that the mysterious force seems to be looking for something in the Ning family," Ouyang continued. "Looking for something in the Ning family?" Ningyu slightly frowned and had a faint guess in his heart. "It's not the Blood God Palace, not the Corpse Sect, and they are looking for something in Ningyu, so they didn't start a massacre." All the signs indicated that the mysterious force is very likely to be from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. In other words, they are from the Ice Domain, the same force as Du Feng and Wan Quan. "You've provoked me." Ningyu clenched his fists, and his face was very ugly. Whether it's the Supreme Nine Purities Temple or the people from the Ice Domain, since they have provoked him, then Ningyu must take care of it. This matter needs to be considered at length. I can't be reckless. Ningyu wanted to return to the Ning family as soon as possible, but he knew that there were still many things to do in the capital. It would not be good to leave without finishing them. First of all, Ningyu learned from the half-step supremacy Dan Qi that he met in the Pill Cave that he mobilized 10 puppet warriors. Once 10 puppet warriors of the half-step supremacy realm descended on the Great Xia Kingdom, it would be a disaster for the Great Xia Kingdom. Although the Dan puppet, whose cultivation hadn't reached the supremacy realm, couldn't leave the Pill Cave, Ningyu had also heard from the Dan puppet about the young master. As the young master, he probably had a way to let the puppet warriors leave the Pill Cave. In addition to the threat from Dan Qi, there was also the threat from the blood puppet ancestor. There was even the threat from the corpse sex venerable corpse dragon. All kinds of things appeared in Ningyu's mind at the same time, causing Ningyu's head to explode with pain. Ouyangluan, go back to the Imperial Palace and make some preparations. We will set off for Tianxian City tomorrow. Hearing this, Ouyangluan's body trembled. His figure flickered and he left the conference hall. After Ouyangluan left, Ningyu waved his hand and said, "Dean Mu, you go ahead. I want to be alone." Then, "All right." Mu Feng originally wanted to say something, but after seeing Ningyu's expression, he could only leave the conference hall. Ningyu didn't speak, and the Dark Emperor and the others didn't want to disturb him, so they found a place to rest. As for Lu Wei, she wanted to comfort Ningyu several times, but she resisted. Drip, drip. Time passed by minute. In the blink of an eye, a night passed. When the first ray of sunlight shone into the conference hall, Ningyu stood up and said in a deep voice, "To the Pill Cavern." Hearing that they were going to the Pill Cavern, Lu Wei was very excited and hurriedly followed behind Ningyu. Phew! At the same time, inside the Pill Cavern, looking at the recovered woman on the stone bed, Dong He wiped the sweat off his forehead and let out a long sigh. "Luckily, I managed to save her." After a night of treatment and the magical effects of the elixir of rebirth, Dong He managed to pull Lu Wei's mother back from the brink of death. Rustle! At this moment, a few figures flew over from afar. "Senior Dong, thank you." Seeing that the woman on the stone bed had woken up, Ningyu hurriedly thanked Dong He. "He, it's nothing," Dong He said with a smile. "Senior Dong, let's talk over here." Seeing that Lu Wei was sprawled on the bed, Ningyu gave Hong Mo a look before flying straight into the depths of the Pill Cavern. Although Ningyu's actions puzzled Dong He still followed behind Ningyu and disappeared. As for Hong Mo, he naturally knew what Ningyu meant. He could not let Lu Wei get too emotional. If Lu Wei got too emotional, the consequences would be dire. "Ningyu, why did you call me over?" Dong He asked curiously in the depths of the Pill Cavern. Dong He did not understand why Ningyu called him over. Generally speaking, if there was anything, he could just talk it over there, and there was no need for him to come here. "Senior Dong, I'm sure you've heard of pill puppets." Ningyu went straight to the point. "Many pill puppets have appeared in this Pill Cavern. In fact, I've even killed a half-step supremacy pill puppet some time ago." Chapter 865. Mystic Moon Jade Pendant. Hiss! Dong He gasped. Dong He sucked in a breath of cold air. As a senior member of the Alchemy Union and a first-grade human supreme, Dong He had naturally heard of the pill puppet. Not only had Dong He heard of the Pill Cavern, but he had also fought with it before. The pill puppet that Dong He had fought with was a half-step supreme martial artist puppet. However, Dong He was only a half-step supreme martial artist at that time. He had to use a lot of effort to kill that puppet warrior. Now that he had advanced to a first-grade human supreme, he could easily kill the puppet warrior if he encountered it again. The only thing that shocked Dong He was the so-called young master. Among the pill puppets, those who could be called young master were at least first-grade humans supreme. Senior Dong, I would like you to oversee the Donwu College and this pill cavern during this period. Ningyu voiced out his thoughts and said, once the puppet warriors attack, I hope you can help us. Leave this matter to me. Dong He said without thinking, in a few days, a few of my old friends will come to the capital. At that time, with the few of us guarding here together, I believe that even the young master of the Elixir Palace won't be able to gain any advantage. Also, Ningyu continued, other than the threat from the pill puppet, there's also the blood puppet ancestor. Don't worry, the blood puppet ancestor won't be able to cause too much trouble. Dong He waved his hand. Leave these two matters to me. All right, I'll leave it to you, Senior. Ningyu had wanted to mention the venerable corpse dragon, but seeing Dong He's confident look, he felt that it was better not to mention it. Anyway, he had already destroyed the corpses. It would be difficult for the venerable corpse dragon to find him through the dilapidated hall. Oh right, what do you want to do? Dong He thought about it. He felt that Ningyu would not speak without thinking. Since he was begging him so seriously, there was most likely a reason. I'll be leaving the capital later and heading to Tianxian City. Ningyu didn't want to hide it from Dong He at all. He said honestly, and it's not good. However, before Ningyu could finish his sentence, his expression changed drastically, and he hurriedly flew in the direction of Lu Wei. Just now, the Red Fiend sent back a message saying that Lu Wei's emotions had changed slightly. Lu Wei had an extreme Yin body, and her mood swings were extremely unpredictable. If she was not careful, she would completely explode. The consequences of the eruption of the extreme Yin body were unimaginable. Therefore, Ningyu had no time to bid farewell to Dong He and directly flew out. What's going on? Before Ningyu arrived, his voice came first. It's fine now. Everything has returned to normal. The Red Fiend came forward and said hurriedly, tell me the truth. Ningyu transmitted his voice to the Red Fiend. Just now, Lu Wei's mother coughed twice and her face was even a little pale. Fortunately, Dan Xingzi pointed out in time that it was a normal reaction. Otherwise, Lu Wei. The Red Fiend didn't finish the last few words, but the meaning was self-evident. No, I have to bring Lu Wei away. After a moment of silence, Ningyu made this decision. The regeneration pill wasn't simple. In the next few days, Lu Wei's mother would cough, her face would turn pale, and she would even suffocate temporarily. If Lu Wei saw all of this, what would happen? Lu Wei's small heart definitely wouldn't be able to take it. Therefore, Ningyu decided to bring Lu Wei with him so that it would be convenient for him to use a secret technique to suppress Lu Wei when she exploded. Cough cough, this is Ningyu, right? Jin told me everything. This time, it's all thanks to you. On the stone bed, Li Qiaoyun coughed twice and said to Ningyu, if not for the regeneration pill that you refined, I might not have been able to wake up. Also, this should be Senior Dong. As she spoke, Li Qiaoyun shifted her gaze to Dong He, who was beside Ningyu, and said, you've done me a great favor. What great favor? It's nothing. Dong He interrupted Li Qiaoyun and said. The reason why Dong He interrupted Li Qiaoyun's words was obvious. Don't talk to me about great favor, I didn't treat you for benefit. Lu Wei, I'm going to Tianxian City later. Why don't you come with me? Seeing that Li Qiaoyun might have misunderstood, Ningyu quickly changed the topic and said, no, I want to stay in the capital to accompany my mother. Without a doubt, Lu Wei rejected Ningyu. Jin I've recovered. You can follow Ningyu to Tianxian City, Li Qiaoyun said. Mother, but I want to spend more time with you. Lu Wei laid on the stone bed and said, why do you want to accompany me? Aren't I all better now? Li Qiaoyun continued, I want to be alone. All of you can leave. Ningyu didn't expect Li Qiaoyun to help him so much. Could it be that Li Qiaoyun knew Lu Wei's true identity? Jin since your mother said so, She naturally has her reasons. At this moment, Lu Durong said in a deep voice, "Don't tell me you don't even listen to your mother?" "All right." Lu Wei felt a little upset. After all, this was the first time Lu Durong got angry at her. "Ningyu, come with me. I have something to tell you." Lu Durong glanced at Ningyu and then walked straight into the distance. Ningyu followed behind Lu Durong. After stopping, Lu Durong handed Ningyu a purple jade pendant and said, 18 years ago, Jin appeared in my room out of nowhere. This jade pendant was with Jin at that time. This jade pendant, receiving the blue jade pendant, Ningyu's body trembled. Because Ningyu knew what this jade pendant was. It was the Mystic Moon Jade Pendant. The Mystic Moon Jade Pendant had a very big effect, which was to suppress the extreme Yin body and prevent it from exploding. Of course, there were a total of 2 Mystic Moon Jade Pendants. One Mystic Moon Jade Pendant couldn't completely suppress the extreme Yin body and could only suppress it for a dozen years. Although Ningyu didn't know when Lu Durong removed the Mystic Moon Jade Pendant from Lu Wei, Ningyu was sure that it wasn't too long ago. Otherwise, Lu Wei would have already exploded. You might need to investigate Jin background. However, I hope that Jin can live a peaceful life in the future. Lu Durong sighed and said, I will take good care of Lu Wei. Although Ningyu didn't mention it, he felt a little helpless in his heart. An extreme Yin body wants to live a peaceful life? It's harder than ascending to the heavens. You guys leave. I will persuade Jin to leave with you as soon as possible. Lu Durong continued. If that's the case, thank you, Uncle Lu. Ningyu bowed deeply towards Lu Durong before tearing through the void and leaving the pill cavern. Before leaving, Ningyu had already informed the Dark Emperor and the others through spiritual transmission. In fact, Ningyu even informed Dong He. The Dark Emperor and the Red Devils wouldn't choose to stay in the capital. They tore through the void and disappeared behind Ningyu. Master. Seeing the Dark Emperor and the Red Devils leave, Duan Cheng bit his lips and said hesitantly, Go. You can learn a lot by following Ningyu. Dong He knew what Duan Cheng was thinking. He didn't urge him to stay. After all, everyone had their own judgment. Chapter 866. Too Young. Russell. Danwu College's conference hall. Many people had already gathered in the conference hall. Among them, the Black Widow, the Black and White Heroes, Old Ancestor Jiuemo, and Mu Feng sat on one side. Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, the Red Devil, and Duan Cheng sat on the other side. If there's anything you need during this trip to Tianjin City, feel free to let me know. I'll do my best to satisfy you. Mu Feng said after a moment of silence. Ningyu had done so many things for Danwu College. If Ningyu needed anything, Mu Feng would definitely agree to it without hesitation. If there's a need, there's nothing. We'll set off immediately after Lu Wei arrives. After saying this, Ningyu thought for a moment and continued, The only thing I need to do is to arrange a quiet place for Pavilion Master Lu and the others to stay and ensure that no one will disturb them. It's a small matter. I'll arrange it as soon as possible, Mu Feng said. Swish. At this moment, a figure streaked across the void and appeared in front of the conference hall. It was none other than Lu Wei. Lu Wei's eyes were slightly red and she looked pitiful. Dean Mu, we'll take our leave for now. Seeing Lu Wei coming over, Ningyu stood up and bid farewell to Mu Feng before leaving the conference hall. Behind Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, Furball, the Red Devil, Duan Cheng, Ouyang Luan, and even the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin-Horned Beast followed closely behind. Initially, Ningyu wanted the Silver-Winged Dragon and the Twin-Horned Beast to stay in the capital. However, since they were unwilling, Ningyu could only give up. Dean Mu, did something happen in Tianjin City? Why did Ningyu mobilize so many people? Looking at Ningyu's departing figure, Ancestor Jiuemo asked doubtfully. Moreover, I don't understand why Ningyu brought Lu Wei along. After all, Lu Wei's cultivation is very low. A mysterious force came to Tianxian City and took control of the Ning family, Mu Feng explained. As for why Ning Yu brought Lu Wei with him, I don't know either. Alright. Forefather Jiao sighed and fell silent. Xiao. In a dense forest somewhere, a group of martial artists was advancing quickly. I really don't understand. There's such a good path to take, why do you have to take this godforsaken place? Among the martial artists, a large black dog complained in the human language. Don't talk too much. Beside the large black dog, a thin martial artist said in a low voice, Do you think I don't want to walk the open road? Do you really have to come to this place? Isn't that so? The Dark Emperor muttered. Screw you. The thin martial artist was Ning Yu. He kicked the Dark Emperor's buttocks and said angrily, When we left the capital, there were at least 10 groups of people following us. If we didn't take a detour, do you think we could get rid of them? Duan Cheng and Ouyang Luan were shocked when they heard Ning Yu's words. Along the way, they were puzzled as to why Ning Yu had to take a detour. Now, it seemed that it was because their perception was weak and they couldn't detect the people following them. If we can't get rid of them, then we won't. With our strength, even if the people following us are peak manifestation realm martial artists, we can still kill them. The Dark Emperor said proudly as if he was not afraid of anything. Is that so? However, as soon as the Dark Emperor's arrogant words fell, a faint voice came from the void. Crack. Then, the void cracked and a group of 4 martial artists appeared. Hiss. Seeing the 4 martial artists that suddenly appeared, Ouyang Luan and Duan Cheng's expressions changed and they gasped. It wasn't that Ouyang Luan and Duan Cheng were timid, but the cultivation of the 4 martial artists in front of them was simply too high. Half-step supremacy realm. 4 half-step supremacy realm martial artists. Although Duan Cheng knew that Ning Yu was very powerful, and he had also seen Ning Yu kill Su Bo, who was infinitely close to the half-step supreme being realm, and capture Hang Su alive, the cultivator in front of him was a half-step supreme being. Moreover, they were 4 half-step supremacies. How could Ning Yu fight against such a lineup? I still haven't gotten rid of you. Ning Yu's expression was slightly solemn as he said in a deep voice, Speak, why are you following us? Why? One of the half-step supremacy realm martial artists with squinted eyes smirked and said, Su Shun, Ho Lei, you should have heard of them. I know, you are from the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. Ning Yu instantly reacted. Su Shun and Ho Lei were peerless geniuses from the 7th and 8th branches of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. Moreover, they had both died at his hands. It was just that Ning Yu was a little puzzled. At that time, he had repeatedly confirmed that Su Shun and Ho Lei hadn't spread the news. How did these 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion geniuses know that he was the one who did it? Curious? Seeing Ning Yu's expression, the squinted martial artist gloomily said, The influence of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion is not something you can imagine. Let me tell you the truth, in the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion, the 7th, 8th, and 9th branches have already issued a 9 Cauldrons hunting order. As long as a genius of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion runs into you, they will kill you without mercy. Since that's the case, I have nothing else to say. Ning Yu slowly spat out a breath of turbid air. He lightly said, Then let's fight. Wang. As Ning Yu's words fell, the entire area seemed to come to a standstill. The atmosphere was stifling, as if a great battle was about to break out at any moment. Ning Yu, they are all half-step supremes. Do you really want to clash with them? Duan Cheng was a little afraid. He wanted to ask if there was any chance of a turnaround. I killed the half-step supremes of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion's 7th, 8th, and 9th branches. Do you think there's any chance of a turnaround? Ning Yu said as he glanced at Duan Cheng. Alright, it looks like we can only fight. Duan Cheng helplessly said. Wrong. The squinted martial artist stretched out his right hand and coldly said, In truth, there is still a chance of a turnaround. It just depends on whether or not you are willing to cooperate. What's the matching method? Ningyu asked while adjusting his state. The Nine Cauldrons Divine Pavilion has always taken the responsibility of recruiting geniuses. As long as you relax your mind and let me control you, then the others can live. The squinted martial artist wanted to sow dissension and disintegrate the relationship between Ningyu and Duan Cheng from the inside. Haha, this move of yours has no effect on me. Ningyu faintly smiled and said, don't take everyone for fools. The reason you didn't attack immediately was because you were afraid of me. You were afraid that I had the strength to kill all of you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have sent 4 half-step supreme beings to encircle and kill me. You know very well that since I was able to kill Su Shun, Ho Lei, and Gu Yuan, I have the ability to kill any one of you. After listening to Ningyu's story, Duan Qing felt a little ashamed. The squinted martial artist's attempt to sow dissension had indeed had some effect. If it weren't for Ningyu promptly mentioning the squinted martial artist's scheme, Duan Qing might have even opened his mouth to persuade Ningyu. Chapter 867. Opinionated. Pa. Hearing Ningyu's words, the squinted martial artist clapped his hands and smiled. I admit that what you said is the truth, but so what? What can it change? We have 4 half-step supremes on our side. What do you have to fight with us? Song Gongwei, why are you wasting your breath on them? A mere half-step manifestation realm martial artist, I don't believe he can do anything. Zhu Gongxiong raised his eyebrows and said disdainfully. Zhu Gongxiong, don't say that. Ningyu can even kill Su Shun and the others. It's best to be careful when dealing with him. Lei Zhuang was still a little afraid of Ningyu's strength. Haha, Lei Zhuang, I don't agree with you. The last 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion half-step supremes, Changde, smiled and said, I think Zhu Gongxiong is right. Su Shun and the others were killed because they were careless. If it were us, we definitely wouldn't have been killed. Don't say any more. The 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion is a gathering place for geniuses, not an assassin's nest. We need to discuss this properly and not use force to solve it. Song Gongwei waved his hand and lightly said, Ningyu, I'll give you one last chance. Open your mind and let me inject a wisp of my soul force into your sea of consciousness. Otherwise, I'll let you know what cruelty is. Ningyu had been listening to Song Gongwei and the others' conversation. After a while, Ningyu said, Are you done? Not yet, I still want to continue. Song Gongwei acted as if he didn't understand Ningyu's words and continued. Continue my ass. Ningyu's eyes turned cold. His figure shot out and rushed towards Song Gongwei. At the same time, Ningyu shouted at Duan Cheng and the others, You guys take Lu Wei and leave first. I'll stop them. Shua. Duan Cheng and the others didn't dare to be negligent. Hearing Ningyu's words, they immediately left with Lu Wei. Including Lu Wei, a total of 5 martial artists left. Duan Cheng, Ouyang Luan, the silver-winged dragon, and the twin horns beast. The 4 of them didn't have much combat power. Staying behind would only add to the chaos, and it was impossible for them to be of any use. You want to leave? Seeing that Lu Wei and the others were about to leave, Lei Zhuang and Chang Da's lips curled up slightly as they laughed sinisterly in unison. It's not that easy. You two stay behind to deal with the others. Leave those 5 pieces of trash to me. A lewd smile appeared on Zhu Gangxiong's face as he said loudly, I just happen to be lacking a cauldron. In my opinion, using that woman as a cauldron is the best. Ha, since Gangxiong is so refined, we won't interfere. We'll give them to you. Lei Zhuang and Changde laughed and joined the other side of the battlefield. As for Zhu Gongxiong, he smiled lecherously as he chased after Lu Wei and the others. Dark Emperor, Furball, help me stop them. I'll be right back. Although Ningyu was fighting with Song Gongwei, he was constantly paying attention to the situation of Lu Wei and the others. Especially when he saw Zhu Gongxiong chase after Lu Wei, Ning Yu's expression changed drastically. He quickly forced Song Gongwei away and tore through the void to disappear. "Where are you going?" Song Gongwei's eyes shone with a cold light. He clenched his fists and suddenly shot out 2 cold rays. Chi-chi. The cold rays were very fast, and each ray cut through the void and made a hissing sound. On the other hand, Ning Yu didn't even turn his head. It was as if he didn't notice the fist rays coming from behind him. "I really don't know how you killed Gu Yuan. How could you be so stupid?" "What?" Song Gongwei seemed to see Ning Yu's miserable state after being hit by the fist rays, and his lips involuntarily curled up. However, halfway through his sentence, Song Gongwei's eyes widened, and his face filled with disbelief. Boom! Boom! This was because Song Gongwei saw 2 figures, one black and one white, quickly cut through the void and blocked the 2 fatal fist rays for Ning Yu. Damn it! Song Gongwei's expression turned ugly when his fist rays were blocked. Especially when the ones who blocked the fist rays were not martial artists but 2 dogs. Song Gongwei couldn't take it anymore. "The 2 of you, don't make a move first. Leave these 2 dogs to me." Seeing that Lei Zhuang and Chang De were about to make a move, Song Gongwei said in a deep voice, "I want to see what these 2 mad dogs are capable of." As soon as he said the word patience, Song Gongwei shot out explosively. His target was the Dark Emperor and Furball. Lei Zhuang and Chang De were happy to be idle. They crossed their arms in front of their chests and shifted their gazes to the other side of the battlefield. On the other side, Ning Yu was already fighting with Zhu Gongxiong. "Ning Yu, others might be afraid of you, but I'm not." Zhu Gongxiong's lips curled up as he said coldly, "Today, I will carry out justice on behalf of the heavens and thoroughly kill you." "Why do you speak so much nonsense? How can you say things like carrying out justice on behalf of the heavens? Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue?" Ning Yu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out a sword wave. Whoosh! A sword wave as thick as a waist shot out in midair and instantly arrived in front of Zhu Gongxiong. Insignificant skill. Facing the sword wave that was constantly attacking him, Zhu Gongxiong waved his sleeves, and a cold radiance instantly flew out. Boom! The cold radiance and the sword wave clashed, creating a loud rumble. After the rumble, Zhu Gongxiong floated in midair, slightly stunned. Zhu Gongxiong discovered that Ning Yu had mysteriously disappeared. "Trying to hide in front of me? Come out." Zhu Gongxiong's entire body released his aura, which continuously spread in all directions with him as the center. Crack crack. Zhu Gongxiong was a half-step supremacy martial artist, and his aura was very terrifying. The aura that spread in all directions snapped countless towering trees in half. Zhu Gongxiong's aura continuously increased, but he still did not discover any traces of Ning Yu. Not even a shadow could be seen. Where did he go? Zhu Gongxiong was not a fool. He knew that if this continued, it would be very disadvantageous for him. After withdrawing his aura, Zhu Gongxiong frowned slightly and started to use his perception. The perception of a half-step supremacy was still very powerful. So, he was hiding here. Zhu Gongxiong had just used his perception when he found Ning Yu's location. 5 meters to the west. After discovering Ning Yu's location, Zhu Gongxiong said without batting an eyelid, "Ning Yu, don't think that I can't find you just because you are hiding well. To tell you the truth, there has never been a half-step manifestation martial artist who could hide from my perception." As Zhu Gongxiong spoke, he walked in the east direction. Zhu Gongxiong's goal was very clear, to make Ning Yu careless and lower his guard. 3 more steps. After 3 steps, I will suddenly turn around and attack. Zhu Gongxiong moved his feet, secretly counting the number of steps he took. First step. Zhu Gongxiong's expression did not change at all, and he still looked as calm as before. Second step. Zhu Gongxiong's expression started to change slightly, but he controlled it very well. Third step. Chapter 868. Chapter 868. Divine Might Poof. However, before Zhu Gangxiong could move for long, he heard the sound of a flying sword piercing into his body. This, Zhu Gangxiong first looked at the blood-red flying sword in front of his chest. Then, he raised his head to look at the familiar figure in front of him. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, his body fell backward. Hong Mo, get rid of him as soon as possible. Ning Yu's tone was emotionless as he said indifferently. Chi. After receiving Ning Yu's order, the Hong Mo immediately controlled the red demon sword to unleash a violent devouring power. In the blink of an eye, Zhu Gangxiong was completely devoured. Seeing that the Hong Mo had devoured Zhu Gangxiong, Ning Yu's figure flashed, and he instantly appeared beside the Dark Emperor and Furball. Because Ning Yu had acted quickly, it only took him a few minutes to kill and devour Zhu Gangxiong. Thus, the Dark Emperor and Furball were only heavily injured and not killed. Even so, Ning Yu's expression was very ugly. Ning Yu, why are you only here now? The Dark Emperor used his trump card to repel Song Gongwei and complained, "This bastard is very strong. Furball and I are not his match. Go and recuperate first. Leave the rest to me." Ning Yu casually threw a storage bag to the Dark Emperor and said. The Dark Emperor caught the storage bag, and after checking the number of crystals inside, he nodded in satisfaction and flew to the other side to recuperate. As for Furball, Ning Yu did not hold back either. The storage bag filled with 1,000,000 royal-grade origin crystals was taken away by Furball. What's going on? Zhu Gangxiong. What? The sudden change made Song Gongwei and the others a little dumbfounded. Wasn't Ning Yu fighting with Zhu Gangxiong? Why did Ning Yu come so quickly? One had to know that Zhu Gangxiong was a half-step supreme being. No matter how weak he was, he should be able to block Ning Yu for half an hour or so. However, when Song Gongwei saw a skeleton in the distance, his voice stopped abruptly and he sucked in a breath of cold air. Zhu Gangxiong turned into a skeleton. This discovery gave Song Gongwei a surreal feeling. Song Gongwei could not understand why Zhu Gangxiong, who was in the half-step supremacy realm, would be devoured until only a skeleton remained. It was hard to understand. Gulp. Even Song Gongwei was shocked. One could imagine how Lei Zhuang and Chang De were feeling. Zhu Gangxiong's fighting strength was ranked second amongst the four of them. Ning Yu had killed Zhu Gangxiong so easily. If he wanted to kill them, wouldn't it be as easy as killing an ant? Don't panic. The reason why Ning Yu was able to kill Zhu Gangxiong is because he used all his trump cards. Seeing Lei Zhuang and Chang De panic, Song Gongwei said in a low voice, "According to my observations, Ning Yu doesn't have much origin energy left. As long as the three of us attack together, killing him will be as easy as blowing off dust. Song Gongwei, you're the strongest. You go first, we'll bring up the rear." Lei Zhuang knew what Song Gongwei was planning. Zhu Gangxiong and Song Gongwei were members of the 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion's 7th branch, while he and Chang De were from the 8th branch. In the 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion, every branch cherished their high-end fighting strength. Every time they lost a half-step supremacy realm martial artist, they would feel the pain for a long time. Now, Song Gongwei's actions were clearly to make them his pawns and send them to their deaths. Damn it! Song Gongwei cursed inwardly. His feet stepped on the ground and his body instantly shot forward. At the same time, Song Gongwei shouted out, "All of you go chase after those people that escaped. Everyone related to Ning Yu, do not let a single one of them go." This is great. Lei Zhuang and Chang De were overjoyed. They rushed out, their targets were Lu Wei and Duan Qing. Solitaire. How could Ning Yu allow Lei Zhuang and Chang De to leave? Although Lu Wei and the others had left a long time ago, with Lei Zhuang and Chang Da's speed, they could catch up in a dozen or so minutes. Once Lu Wei was caught, the consequences would be inconceivable. Thus, Ningyu flicked his wrist, sending out several sword waves. Whoosh! In the air, countless sword waves flew out. Half of them attacked Lei Zhuang and Changde, while the other half surrounded Song Gongwei. You want to rely on these sword waves to trap me? How could it be so easy? Song Gongwei's eyes gradually turned blood-red. The origin energy in his spiritual sea crazily poured into his wrist as he punched the sword waves in front of him. Bang! Song Gongwei was truly worthy of being a peerless genius of the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion. He used all his strength to disperse the sword wave around him effortlessly. Of course, Song Gongwei's fist light was also completely offset by the sword wave. If Song Gongwei could block the sword waves, then Lei Zhuang and Changde could also block them if they joined forces. Song Gongwei, didn't you say you wanted to stop Ningyu? What the hell is going on? Although he blocked the sword waves, Lei Zhuang and Changde still shouted, "If you don't use your full strength to deal with Ningyu, everyone will die." You're right, you will all die. Lei Zhuang and Changde had just finished speaking when a faint voice was transmitted into their ears. Hearing this, Lei Zhuang and Changde were startled. Then, they revealed looks of horror. Go! Ningyu didn't care about Lei Zhuang and Changde's reactions. He naturally wouldn't miss out on such a rare opportunity. With a low shout, Ningyu flicked his sleeves. A cold light suddenly flew out from his sleeves. Flower bud. The cold light that flew out from Ningyu's sleeves was the flower bud. For some reason, when Ningyu killed Zhu Gongxiong, the flower bud didn't have the slightest reaction. But just now, the flower bud suddenly erupted with an extremely strong desire to leave Ningyu's body. If not for Ningyu suppressing it, the flower bud's first target would definitely be Song Gongwei. Lei Zhuang and Changde were two people. If they wanted to escape, Ningyu couldn't chase after them. Thus, Ningyu chose to let the flower bud deal with Lei Zhuang and Changde first. Poochie! The flower bud didn't disappoint Ningyu. Lei Zhuang and Changde didn't even have time to scream before they turned into nothingness. Wang Wang. The flower bud originally had 6 petals. After swallowing Lei Zhuang and Changde, it seemed like it was going to have 5 petals. There's another one over there. Ningyu pointed at Song Gongwei on the other side and said. Hearing this, Song Gongwei's mouth twitched a few times. What the F***ck is going on? How could a flower bud on a small branch possess such terrifying combat power? Killing a half-step, honorable realm martial artist was as easy as chopping vegetables. This was truly effortless. Run! At this moment, there was only one word in Song Gongwei's mind, and that was to run. Song Gongwei didn't have the confidence to go against such a powerful flower bud. In fact, Song Gongwei didn't even have the confidence to last a minute against the flower bud. If he didn't even have the confidence to stay, wouldn't he be courting death? Want to leave? It's not that easy. Flower bud, go. Chapter 869. Besieged. Surrounded. Oh no! Although Song Gongwei was a half-step to honorable realm martial artist and was very fast, the flower bud was faster than him. Song Gongwei had just escaped a dozen meters when his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly wrapped the essence chi in his sea of consciousness around his wrist and threw out a shocking fist radiance. Chi. The result was no surprise. Song Gongwei's fist radiance was at an absolute disadvantage in the confrontation with the flower bud, and it was quickly devoured. 3 flower palm. At the critical moment, Song Gongwei forced out a drop of blood essence and waved his hands continuously. Suddenly, a palm print separated from his palm. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The so-called 3 flower palm, as the name suggested, had a total of 3 palm print. Song Gongwei did not disappoint. After the palm print separated from his palm, it split into 3. Song Gongwei was more ambitious. 2 of the palm prints were aimed at the flower bud, while the last one was aimed at Ningyu. Song Gongwei's thinking was simple. As long as he could block the flower bud and kill Ningyu, everything would return to normal. Once Ningyu died, the flower bud would lose its power, and he could even pick up a flower bud for free. Dreams were great, but reality was harsh. Song Gongwei's thinking was great, but reality shattered him. The flower bud quickly cut through the void and devoured the 2 palm prints that Song Gongwei had thrown out in an instant. After devouring the palm prints, the flower bud did not turn its head. Instead, it started fighting Song Gongwei. On the other side, Ningyu wielded the red demon sword and slashed out several sword radiants. Whoosh! The sword radiance and the palm prints collided. Song Gongwei's palm prints were quickly dispersed. Song Gongwei is indeed skilled. He can actually fight against the flower bud head-on. After dispersing the palm prints, Ningyu turned around and looked at the battle between Song Gongwei and the flower bud. He frowned slightly. After seeing the flower bud kill Lei Zhuang and Changde easily, Ningyu thought that it could at least fight against a Grade 1 human supreme. However, the current situation made Ningyu slightly disappointed. The flower bud's strongest combat power should be between the half-step supremacy realm and the supremacy realm. Ningyu, this flower bud is really too awesome. With it, we can even easily kill a supreme being, right? The Dark Emperor quietly came to Ningyu's side, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and said, "Why don't you listen to me in the future, use you as bait and let's do some, get lost." Ningyu kicked the Dark Emperor's butt and said snappily, "Only you can think of such a rotten idea. Hee, let's talk it over." The Dark Emperor did not get angry after being kicked by Ningyu. Instead, he chuckled. "We can discuss it." Ningyu rolled his eyes and said without batting an eyelid, "How about this? You're the purple gold sky devouring hound. As long as we use you as bait, I'm sure many people will come looking for trouble with us. When the flower bud makes its move, won't those troublemakers be devoured by you?" The Dark Emperor was speechless. "After all that, you're using me as bait? I'm the purple gold sky devouring hound. When the time comes, instead of attracting half-step supremacies and first-grade human supremacies, we might attract many second-grade or even third-grade human supremacies." Although the Dark Emperor had high hopes for the flower bud, seeing how it struggled to deal with Song Gongwei, who was a half-step supremacy realm expert, the Dark Emperor did not believe that the flower bud could deal with a second-grade human supremacy, let alone a third-grade human supremacy. "Let's not use me as bait. How about using Red Skin as bait?" The Dark Emperor glanced at Hong Mo, who was standing beside Ningyu, and said, "Red Skin is the spiritual body of a royal flying sword. With him as bait, the effect won't be any worse than mine." "Scram, I'm giving you face, and you want to go to heaven?" Ningyu raised his leg to kick the Dark Emperor and said, "You are a genius, why don't you go to heaven?" Don't. We can discuss it." The Dark Emperor easily dodged Ningyu's attack and said loudly, "At most, we can use me as bait." Rumble. Just as the Dark Emperor finished his words, the battle on the other side also came to an end. Poochie. The flower bud found an opportunity and used one of its petals to pierce Song Gongwei's heart. "Ningyu, you have offended the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. Even if you run to the ends of the world, you will still be killed." Before Song Gongwei died, he used all his strength to roar, "If you can repent and surrender, you might still be able to live." Poochie. Before Song Gongwei finished his threat, he spat out another mouthful of blood. At this moment, the peerless genius of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion, Song Gongwei, who was a half-step supremacy, died in battle. Wang. Just like Lei Zhuang and Changde, after the flower bud killed Song Gongwei, it directly devoured him and turned him into nothingness. After devouring 3 half-step supremacy realm cultivators, the number of petals on the flower bud finally increased from 6 to 5. Swish. After that, the flower bud turned into an afterimage and went back into Ningyu's sleeve to lie dormant. Luckily, there is a flower bud. Otherwise we would all be dead. Even now, Hong Mo still had lingering fears. Although he and Ning Yu could kill Zhu Gongxiong if they joined forces, killing Song Gongwei would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. This was because even 3 Zhu Gongxiong might not be a match for Song Gongwei. Let's go. Since Song Gongwei and the others had already been killed, there was no need for Ning Yu to stay here. Waving his hand, Ning Yu was the first to fly into the distance. Waving his hand, Ning Yu was the first to fly into the distance. Red Skin, are we not even going to clean up the battlefield? Looking at Ning Yu's back, the Dark Emperor hesitated. Clean up my ass. Song Gongwei and the others can find us. Even if we clean up the battlefield and don't leave any traces, the people of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion will know that we killed Song Gongwei. Hong Mo rolled his eyes at the Dark Emperor. Then, he stepped on the ground and dashed away. That seems to make a little bit of sense. The Dark Emperor smacked his lips. Then, he grabbed Harry Ball and chased after Ning Yu. Sha sha. While Ning Yu and the others were rushing forward, not far away, Lu Wei, Duan Qing, and the others encountered a new problem. At the end of the forest, Duan Qing, Ouyang Luan, and the others had their backs against each other, forming a semicircle. Lu Wei was in the middle of the semicircle. Her face was slightly pale. Who are you people? Why are you attacking us? Duan Qing turned around and looked at Lu Wei's pale face. His face turned completely dark. He stared at the dozen martial artists in front of him and said coldly, "Why are we attacking you?" In front of Duan Qing, there were a total of 18 martial artists. Apart from the leading martial artist, who was at the half-step supremacy realm, the other 17 martial artists were all at the peak of the manifestation realm. Moreover, their attire was a little special. They did not look like people from the Great Xia Empire. They did not even look like people from the Sky Demon region. Why are we attacking you? You should ask the woman behind you about this. Chapter 870. Just for fun. What? Extreme Een body. When Duan Qing and Ouyang Luan heard the words of the half-step Supreme Being Realm Cultivator, their eyes widened with extreme fear. Ouyang Luan, in particular, was extremely shocked. More than 10 years ago, there was an absolute expert who passed by the Great Xia Kingdom. At that time, that peerless expert had described the general appearance of a woman and asked Ouyang Luan to search for her after 10 years. Ouyang Luan kept his word. Some time ago, he had locked onto Lu Wei according to the description of the peerless powerhouse. However, due to Ning Yu's various obstructions, the plan was ultimately put on hold. As for the crystal ball that the peerless master had left for Ouyang Luan had always kept it with him and had never mentioned it to Ning Yu. How could Ouyang Luan not be shocked when a half-step supremacy realm martial artist said that Lu Wei had an extreme Een body? Shocked, Ouyang Luan took out the crystal ball from his bosom. Sound transmission ball. Ouyang Luan had just taken out the crystal ball when the half-step supremacy realm martial artist's expression changed drastically. He exclaimed in shock, "How could you possibly have the 6 Moons Supremacy's sound transmission ball? 6 Moons Venerable?" Ouyang Luan was slightly taken aback and said, "I don't know who 6 Moons Venerable is." "Humph. You're about to die, yet you still dare to quibble. Since you don't know, I will tell you. Listen carefully." The half-step supreme martial artist said coldly, 6 Moons Venerable is an elder of our Sacred Heaven sect. He was a 6th grade human supreme more than 10 years ago. Ouyang Luan could not help but gasp. 6th grade human supreme martial artist. Furthermore, he was a 6th grade human supreme martial artist more than 10 years ago. Didn't that mean that the 6 Moons Venerable's cultivation was at least at the 7th or 8th grade sovereign realm? Hand over the voice transmission ball. Don't make me say the same thing twice. The half-step supremacy realm martial artist stretched out his hand and said calmly. Ouyang Luan's eyes flickered indeterminately. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, "Do you think I'm a fool? If I give you the voice transmission ball, you'll definitely break it. When 6 Moon Venerable arrives, how are we going to survive?" After much consideration, Ouyang Luan still chose to stand on the same boat as Ningyu. The more Ouyang Luan interacted with Ningyu, the more he felt that Ningyu was terrifying. Ouyang Luan would have definitely chosen Ningyu even without the Heavenly Tao Oath. Good, very good, very good. The half-step Supreme Being's face darkened completely as he said coldly, "Among all the manifestation realm cultivators that I and have met, you are one of the more arrogant ones. Maybe you haven't seen me fight before, so you don't know my true strength." Yen Yi pondered for a moment, then continued, "When I was at the peak of the manifestation realm, I fought against a grade 1 human sovereign. When I advanced to the half-step sovereign realm, I encountered a grade 2 human sovereign and 3 grade 1 human sovereigns. Guess what happened? After a fierce battle, the 3 first-grade human supremes all died in battle, and the second-grade human supremes also fled." Pucci. As soon as Yen Yi finished speaking, a peak manifestation realm cultivator behind him couldn't help but laugh out loud. Others might not know that Yen Yi was bragging, but the 17 cultivators that came with Yen Yi knew exactly what happened. When Yen Yi advanced to the half-step sovereign realm, there were indeed 4 cultivators surrounding him. 3 of them were grade 1 human sovereigns, and 1 was grade 2 human sovereign. However, the 4 cultivators surrounding him were all heavily injured. His true battle strength was only about 10%. Otherwise, with Yen Yi's strength, he would have long been dead. How could he still be acting cool here? One must know that in the Sacred Heaven sect, Yen Yi's strength could only be ranked in the lower middle among all the half-step sovereign realm cultivators. Courting death. Yen Yi was happily acting cool, but his own people came out to mess things up. How could Yen Yi tolerate this? As soon as he finished speaking, Yen Yi disappeared instantly. Smack! In the next moment, a crisp sound rang out. The peak manifestation realm cultivator, who couldn't help but laugh just now, had 5 bright red palm prints on his face. "Disobeying orders, go to the disciplinary hall to receive," Yen Yi said coldly. "There's no need to go to the disciplinary hall. Just do it here." An indifferent voice interrupted Yen Yi's words. "Who?" Yen Yi's expression changed slightly as he hurriedly turned to look. Swoosh! 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 3 figures approached from afar and landed in the area in the blink of an eye. Ningyu, the Dark Emperor, and the Red Devil. On the Dark Emperor's back, there was a white puppy lying on it, looking charmingly naive. Half-step manifestation realm? Feeling the aura emanating from Ningyu, Yen Yi was stunned at first, then he laughed maniacally. "I was wondering which peerless expert it was. So it's just a half-step manifestation realm cultivator. What's wrong with the people of the Great Xia Kingdom? All of them are extremely arrogant, as if they're all geniuses that only appear once in 10,000 years." As he spoke, Yen Yi revealed a puzzled expression and said exaggeratedly, "Tell me, what do I have to do for you to let them go?" At the start, Ningyu wanted to start a massacre. However, when he saw Lu Wei's pale face and trembling body, Ningyu could only choose to settle things peacefully. After all, Lu Wei had an extreme Yin body. Once it exploded, the consequences would be unimaginable. "Oh, it seems like you also know that Lu Wei has an extreme Yin body." Yen Yi rolled his eyes and said sinisterly, "Since that's the case, things will be much easier. Open up your mind and let my soul power enter your consciousness. Once I control you completely, I'll naturally let Lu Wei go." "All right, I promise you," Ningyu said without hesitation. "No." Upon hearing Ningyu's words, everyone, including the Red Devil, the Dark Emperor, and even Duan Qing and Ouyang Luan, objected. As the silver-winged dragon and the twin-horned beast had already isolated all sounds around Lu Wei, Lu Wei could only see the situation in front of her and could not hear anything. I know what I'm doing. Ningyu waved his hand, indicating for the Red Devil and the rest not to worry. Thereafter, Ningyu walked towards Yan Yi step by step. Ningyu walked very slowly. As he advanced, Ningyu's mind spun and he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Yan Yi wanted to control Ningyu, but how could Ningyu not want to control Yan Yi? As long as he could control the leaders of both sides, everything would become very simple. 10 steps, 9 steps, as Ningyu advanced, Yan Yi was secretly counting the distance. 3 steps, do it. When Ningyu was only 3 steps away from Yan Yi's eyes turned cold. He stomped on the ground and rushed out. Sha sha. Seeing that Yan Yi had made his move, Duan Cheng and Ouyang Luan hurriedly moved to block Lu Wei's eyes. Duan Cheng and Ouyang Luan had some understanding of the extreme Yin body and knew that the emotions of the extreme Yin body could not fluctuate too much. Otherwise, there was a high chance of an explosion. Brat, do you think I want to control a trash? I only asked you to come over to have some fun. Ah. Yan Yi clenched his right fist and punched towards Ningyu's heart. Chapter 871. Devour them all. Chapter 871. Devour, since you want to play, I'll play with you. Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He clenched his right hand into a fist and punched out as well. On the surface of the fist, a violent fluctuation of yuan qi appeared. Yan Yi's heart trembled slightly when he felt the energy contained in Ningyu's fist. He was slightly shocked. From Yan Yi's point of view, Ningyu was only a half-step manifestation realm warrior. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't be that strong. In fact, Yan Yi felt that he didn't even need to use his full strength to kill Ningyu. I have to use my full strength. At this moment, Yan Yi changed his view of Ningyu. The energy in his sea of consciousness surged out again and wrapped around his fist. He threw a backhand punch that couldn't be avoided and collided with Ningyu's fist. Swoosh! Swoosh! After the fists collided, the two figures rapidly retreated. Yan Yi had to retreat more than 10 steps before he could stabilize himself. On the other hand, Ningyu only managed to stabilize himself after taking 3 steps back. The difference between the two was obvious. Whoosh! Yan Yi's move put him at a disadvantage. The expressions of the 17-peak manifestation realm warriors that he had brought along also changed drastically. Although the 17-peak manifestation realm warriors knew that Yan Yi was just putting on an act, Yan Yi's true strength was still very strong. Yan Yi, who was a half-step supremacy realm warrior, was infinitely close to a first-grade human supremacy. How could they not be shocked that the skinny man opposite them was able to gain the upper hand against Yan Yi? Very good. However, the one who was the most shocked was Yan Yi. Yan Yi never expected that he, a mid-tier genius of the Sacred Heaven sect, would be evenly matched with Ningyu. In fact, he was even at a slight disadvantage. You've completely infuriated me. I'm going to tear you apart. Yan Yi clenched his fists tightly and charged forward once again. This time, Yan Yi was enraged. He swore that he would tear Ningyu apart and let Ningyu see what true strength was. Ningyu could not be bothered to waste his breath on Yan Yi. He immediately drew out the red demon sword and slashed out several sword ripples. Without the red demon, the power of the red demon sword would be greatly reduced. Yan Yi easily blocked the sword wave that Ningyu had sent out. Then, he began fighting Ningyu in midair. The battle between Yan Yi and Ningyu caused the 17 martial artists at the peak of the manifestation realm that Yan Yi had brought to burst into an uproar. What's going on? How can the Great Xia Kingdom have such an absolute prodigy? That's right. I also find it a little strange. Logically speaking, even the strongest martial artist in the Great Xia Kingdom shouldn't be this powerful. I suspect that martial artist is definitely not someone from the Great Xia Kingdom. I don't care if he is from the Great Xia Kingdom. We better hurry up and capture the extreme Yin physique, or else Yen Yi will be infuriated. That's right, let's go and catch the extreme Yin body. The martial artist who was the most enthusiastic was the martial artist at the peak of the creation realm who was reprimanded by Yen Yi. He wanted to perform well so that he could ask Yen Yi for mercy and see if he could avoid going to the disciplinary hall. Swoosh. However, not long after the martial artist at the peak of the creation realm dashed out, a ray of cold light shot down from the sky. Flower bud? Seeing the true face of the cold light, the martial artist at the peak of the creation realm was slightly stunned. However, it was this short moment of stupor that became the martial artist at the peak of the creation realm's final song in the Great Xia Kingdom. Without a doubt, the flower bud swallowed him in an instant, leaving nothing behind. Whoosh! The flower bud swallowed a martial artist at the peak of the creation realm in an instant, causing the expressions of the other 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm to change drastically. Everyone, let's attack together. I'm still not. A bold martial artist at the peak of the creation realm said in a deep voice. However, no matter how bold he was, it was useless in front of the flower bud. After swallowing the first martial artist at the peak of the creation realm, the flower bud did not even stop and immediately began its second devouring journey. Various screams rose and fell, continuously assaulting the vision and hearing of Duan Qing and the others. It was too brutal. Those were all martial artists at the peak of the creation realm. They were actually devoured just like that? Duan Qing and Ouyang Luan had goosebumps all over their bodies. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. Swoosh! 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm. 3 minutes. The flower bud spent 3 minutes to completely devour the 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm. After devouring the martial artists at the peak of the creation realm, the flower bud made a turn in the air and once again returned to Ning Yu's side. Hee, have you lost your mind? Why did you bring out this lousy flower bud to fight with me? Do you think it can be the key to our victory? Yen Yi sneered. I'm not sure if it can decide our victory or defeat. However, I know that none of the 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm that you brought were spared. All of them have become food for the flower bud. Ning Yu shrugged and said indifferently. Humph! Who doesn't know how to boast? The martial artists I brought are all exceptional geniuses of the Sacred Heaven sect. A mere flower bud dares to dream of. What? Yen Yi snorted coldly and could not help but look down. This glance caused Yen Yi to be stunned on the spot. Yen Yi realized that the 10 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm that he brought had all disappeared. Baffling. What the hell? At this moment, these words appeared in Yen Yi's mind. They were all fine just now. Why did they disappear in the blink of an eye? Yen Yi unleashed his perception, hoping to find some clues. Stop looking. The matter is already very clear. The 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm that you brought were all killed and devoured by the flower bud. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating for Yen Yi not to waste his energy. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Up until now, Yen Yi still could not believe it. 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm were devoured and killed by an unknown flower bud just like that? If this matter were to spread, others would definitely think that he had lost his mind. Spatial artifact. Yes, it's a spatial artifact. Suddenly, Yen Yi seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, The flower bud in your hand must be a spatial artifact. Moreover, it's the kind that can store people. If you know what's good for you, then throw the flower bud over. Otherwise, I'll make sure you suffer the consequences. You want the flower bud? Ning Yu raised his brows and said calmly, Since you want it, I'll give it to you. As he spoke, Ning Yu flicked his wrist and threw the flower bud to Yen Yi. After devouring 17 martial artists at the peak of the creation realm, Ningyu faintly realized that the fifth petal on the flower bud had an urge to disappear. In other words, as long as the flower bud could devour Yan-yi, it would definitely disappear completely. Ningyu was looking forward to what would happen after the petals on the flower bud completely disappeared. One had to know that every time the flower bud transformed, its combat strength would increase exponentially. Once all 5 petals disappeared, one could imagine how terrifying the flower bud would be at that time. Chapter 872. Chapter 872. Sacred Heaven Sect, Humph? Throwing the flower bud over so easily, there's definitely something fishy going on. Yan-yi snorted coldly, then waved his hands repeatedly. Instantly, a cold gleam flew out from his sleeve. Stop! Yan-yi bellowed, hoping that the cold gleam could block the flower bud in midair. Tsk. However, there was always a huge difference between ideal and reality. The moment the cold gleam that Yan-yi shot out touched the flower bud, it was completely devoured, not a single ripple was stirred up. What? Yan-yi's expression changed drastically. Yan-yi was very confident in the cold gleam that he threw out. Even a peak manifestation realm martial artist might not be able to gain the upper hand against it. However, the reality was that the cold gleam was devoured by the flower bud in an instant. At this moment, Yan-yi finally felt a little nervous. It seemed like what Ningyu said earlier was most likely true. Want to devour me? It's not that easy. Although he had guessed a certain possibility, Yan-yi did not want to resign himself to death. First of all, his cultivation was not at the peak of the manifestation realm, but a genuine half-step supreme being. Secondly, his strength was much stronger than a peak manifestation realm martial artist. At the critical moment, Yan-yi took out a purple flying sword from his chest. The flying sword was about 3 feet long, and it contained a violent fluctuation of vital energy. Yan-yi held the flying sword and slashed down from the sky. Crack! However, Yan-yi had still underestimated the flower bud's strength. His king-rank middle-grade flying sword broke into 2 halves in an instant. Such a change was clearly not what Yan-yi had expected. Damn it! Yan-yi was not that kind of stubborn person. After his king-rank middle-grade flying sword broke, he cursed and directly tore through the void, wanting to leave. Bang! In the eyes of the flower bud, Yan-yi was delicious. How could it let him go? Therefore, Yan-yi had just tore through the void, and before he could escape, he was struck in the chest by the flower bud, his body flying several feet away. Hold on, I have something to ask him. Seeing that the flower bud wanted to devour Yan-yi, Ningyu hurriedly flew to the side of the flower bud, blocking it. Buzz! The flower bud was obviously displeased to be stopped by Ningyu. It began to sway rapidly in the air. Alright, the 1 million royal grade origin crystals in the spatial ring are all yours. For the sake of appeasing the flower bud, Ningyu had no choice but to give up the remaining 1 million king grade origin crystals in his spatial ring. Shio! The flower bud seemed to have a mind of its own as it burrowed directly into the storage ring and went into hibernation. Yan-yi, what's your relationship with Du Feng and the rest? Ningyu sorted out his thoughts and asked. Du Feng is from the ice domain. Are you also from the ice domain? Duan Cheng and Ouyangluan knew that Yan-yi came from Ice Domain's Sacred Heaven sect, but Ningyu didn't. Don't even think of getting any information out of me. Yan-yi said coldly. You have to think this through. The 17 martial artists at the peak of the Fate realm that you brought with you have already been devoured by the flower bud. If you continue to be stubborn, you will definitely end up like them, Ningyu said calmly. If I tell you, will you let me go? Yan-yi was originally prepared to die, but he changed his mind after hearing Ningyu's words. Yan-yi rolled his eyes and said, I am indeed from the ice domain. Furthermore, I'm from the most powerful sect in the ice domain, the Sacred Heaven sect. Lu Wei is the person that the Sacred Heaven sect master personally ordered to find. I advise you not to get involved in this matter. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Ice Domain, Sacred Heaven Sect. Hearing this, Ningyu couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. The Ice Domain was different from the Sky Demon Domain. The Sky Demon Domain didn't have Overlord-level sects, but the Ice Domain did. The Sacred Heaven Sect was an Overlord-level sect in the Ice Domain. The Sacred Heaven Sect could be called the most powerful sect in the Ice Domain. No other sect could shake its Overlord status. It's good that you know. If you know what's good for you, let me go as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Sacred Heaven Sect. Oh right, your friend has a sound transmission ball. Yan Yi originally wanted to use the Sacred Heaven Sect to scare Ningyu. However, after thinking about it, Yan Yi felt that it was more practical to use the thing in front of him. Yan Yi pointed at Ouyang Luan and said, "That sound transmission ball belongs to Supremacy Lumons. Supremacy Lumons is a 6th grade supreme martial artist. I believe that Supremacy Lumons will definitely rush over in 10 minutes. Sound transmission ball?" Ningyu frowned slightly. "That's right. It's a sound transmission ball." Yan Yi said, "If you let me go, I can put in a good word for you in front of Supremacy Lumons. At that time, you might even have the chance to join the Sacred Heaven Sect. Aren't you forgetting something?" Ningyu looked at the crystal ball in Ouyang Luan's hand and hesitated for a moment. "I've seen quite a few sound transmission balls in the past. I've also heard a little about their usage. The so-called sound transmission ball can only be broken by the other party. You said that Supremacy Lumons will be here in 10 minutes. What are your intentions?" Swish. Yan Yi thought that he had already done a good job pretending, but he didn't know that he was displaying his slight skill in front of an expert. Ningyu knew how to use the sound transmission ball. "Don't bother with those empty words. You just need to tell me if there are still people from the Sacred Heaven Sect in the Great Xia Kingdom," Ningyu said in a low voice. "Definitely," Yan Yi said without hesitation. "Aside from us and Dufeng, there are still a large number of Sacred Heaven Sect martial artists on their way. The sect master has already sent out the Sacred Heaven Order. Whoever can bring the extreme Yin body back to the ice region in one piece will obtain a position as a core disciple. According to my estimates, there are at least a few hundred martial artists coming from the ice region." Although Yan Yi was exaggerating a little, it was not a big deal. There were indeed quite a number of people from the Sacred Heaven Sect coming to the Great Xia Kingdom. Even if there weren't a few hundred, there were at least a few dozen. So many people? Ningyu frowned and fell into deep thought. If it was really as Yan Yi said, then the situation would become more and more dangerous. Blood God Palace, Corpse Sect, 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion. These 3 forces all had a grudge against Ningyu. Adding on the Supreme 9 Purities Temple and the Ice Region Sacred Heaven Sect, Ningyu felt that his strength was no longer enough. He had to rush to the creation realm. Now, Yan Yi had been paying attention to Ningyu. While Ningyu was thinking, Yan Yi took the opportunity and punched with all his strength. TSK. Yan Yi's fist was very fast. It even made a hissing sound as it rubbed against the air. Furthermore, in order to kill Ningyu in one move, Yan Yi didn't even hesitate to burn his essence blood to increase the power of his fist. Life and death depended on this move. "Brat, to be able to die in my hands, consider it your good fortune from your previous life." Yan Yi seemed to be able to see Ningyu's tragic death and couldn't help but laugh maniacally. "Is that so?" Ningyu's reaction to Yan Yi's actions was very indifferent. He raised his brows and crossed his arms in front of his chest. "You think I'm not prepared?" Swish. Chapter 873. Initial Stage of the Manifestation Realm. Chapter 873. Initial Stage of the Manifestation Realm. What? Yen Yi's expression changed drastically when he saw the flower bud attacking him. His entire body trembled uncontrollably. To be honest, Yen Yi didn't expect Ningyu to react in time. He had launched a sneak attack. If Ningyu could notice his sneak attack, didn't that mean that Ningyu had been guarding against him all along? Yen Yi quickly retracted his fist and turned to run. He wasn't the flower bud's match for the first time. If he continued to fight like a fool, he would only be devoured mercilessly. Yen Yi wasn't a fool. If he couldn't win, he should run. Yen Yi knew this principle. However, it was too late for Yen Yi to escape now. The flower bud cut through the air and arrived in front of him in the blink of an eye. It entered his body through his heart. Yen Yi felt a tearing pain in his heart. He wanted to say something but spat out a mouthful of blood instead. His body trembled uncontrollably. I gave you a chance to live, but you didn't know how to cherish it. Ningyu came to Yen Yi's side and said plainly, since that's the case, you should go and accompany your friends. TSK. The flower bud seemed to understand Ningyu's words and devoured Yen Yi in an instant. Yen Yi couldn't understand how a half-step manifestation realm warrior from the Great Xia Kingdom could have such terrifying combat power. It was a pity that Yen Yi would never be able to find the answer for the rest of his life. Ice Region, Sacred Heaven Gate. After the flower bud devoured Yen Yi, Ningyu frowned and murmured. Although the Divine Heaven sect was far away from the Sky Demon region, it was extremely powerful. A force like the Blood God Palace would never be able to catch up. Rumble. Just as Ningyu was having a headache over the Sacred Heaven Gate, an earth-shattering rumble came from the flower bud. What's going on? The sudden change made Ningyu's expression change. He hurriedly shifted his gaze to the flower bud. This caused Ningyu's mouth to open slightly, and his face was filled with confusion. In midair, the fifth petal on the flower bud had completely disappeared. The disappearance of the fifth petal was not what shocked Ningyu the most. What shocked Ningyu the most was that the other 4 petals on the flower bud disappeared at the same time. The complete disappearance of the petals also meant that the flower bud no longer existed. Gulp. Swallowing a mouthful of saliva, Ningyu was dumbfounded. The flower bud had disappeared. The flower bud was his strongest trump card. If the flower bud disappeared, his battle prowess would drop by at least 50%. In the past, he could easily kill a half-step honorable realm martial artist by relying on the flower bud. Now that the flower bud had disappeared, it would be difficult for him to even contend against a half-step supremacy realm martial artist like Yen Yi, let alone kill him. Bang! As soon as Ningyu swallowed, he noticed that the branch of the world tree had changed a lot. At the top of the branch there was actually a sprout. The flower bud disappeared and the sprout appeared. Could this small branch of the world tree be the core of the world tree? Ningyu's eyeballs moved, and he thought of this possibility almost instantly. Generally speaking, something like a withered tree coming back to life was very rare. Since this branch could produce a flower bud and sprout, it was enough to show that this branch was very special. At the very least, it was the main path of the world tree. At the thought of this, Ningyu revealed a joyous expression. Perhaps this sprout before him could really grow into a world tree. Swoosh! While Ningyu was still rejoicing in his heart, the sprout suddenly shot out a huge energy light pillar. The energy light pillar flew directly towards Ningyu. Looking at the energy light pillar flying towards him continuously, Ningyu swallowed a mouthful of saliva again. The sprout could actually give feedback. In the past, Ningyu's cultivation had broken through time and time again from the feedback of the flower bud. Now that the sprout's feedback of energy was extremely rich, Ningyu decided on the spot to break through to the creation realm. Hong Fiend, you guys stay away for now. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. He immediately sat down cross-legged and circulated the spirit transformation technique to absorb the energy from the sprout while instructing Hong Fiend and the rest to leave first. Let's go. Hong Fiend seemed to have guessed that Ningyu was going to break through to the creation realm. After saying that, he quickly left. Duan Cheng and the rest also left hurriedly. They were not fools. Once Ningyu advanced to the creation realm, that kind of aura would definitely be very powerful. If they were close, it would not be good if they were affected. Devour. Ningyu automatically shielded himself from the outside world's interference. His soul power entered his consciousness and controlled the golden core to devour the terrifying energy that the sprout fed back. Although it was called energy, it was not. It was best described as holy energy. After the flower bud turned into a sprout, the speed at which it absorbed holy energy was obviously much faster. However, the speed at which the sprout absorbed and devoured holy energy was exactly the same, so it was still unable to leave any holy energy for Ningyu. Therefore, Ningyu especially cherished this huge pillar of energy. Pust. In Ningyu's consciousness, the huge golden core kept devouring the energy. Almost every minute that passed, the energy fed back by the sprout decreased a little. About an hour later, swoosh. Ningyu stood up with a swoosh. His early-stage grade 7 soul power also entered his consciousness, cooperating with the golden core to devour the energy. Time passed by minute. Ningyu was not anxious, but the Dark Emperor on the other side was very anxious. Hong Fiend, what are the chances of Ningyu advancing to the creation realm? What are the chances? Of course, it's 100%. Hong Fiend rolled his eyes at the Dark Emperor and said, 100%? I don't believe it. Ningyu doesn't have a creation elixir, so how can he advance to the creation realm? I heard that humans have to have a creation elixir to advance to the creation realm. The Dark Emperor pursed his lips and said, Rumble. However, just as the Dark Emperor pursed his lips, he was stunned on the spot. An extremely terrifying aura shot into the sky. Sensing the terrifying aura that shot into the distance, the Dark Emperor could not help but gasp. Damn it, it's too terrifying. Are you sure that Ningyu has only advanced to the creation realm? Duan Cheng and Ouyangluan could not believe their senses. How was this advancing to the creation realm? Even a half-step supremacy martial artist would not be able to catch up to this aura, right? It's indeed the creation realm, and it's only early-stage creation realm. Hong Fiend's senses were very strong. He could clearly tell that Ningyu was only early-stage creation realm and not half-step supremacy. Ningyu has advanced to the creation realm. The silver-winged dragon had already removed the seal on Lu Wei's hearing, so Lu Wei could hear Hong Fiend and the rest's conversation. It could be said that other than not knowing that she had the extreme Yin body, Lu Wei knew everything else. Phew! Ningyu did not know that Lu Wei and the rest were shocked. At this moment, Ningyu let out a long breath and muttered to himself while staring at the mystic moon jade pendant in his hand. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.